going to go ahead. I'm going to give you some explanation if you haven't been here before. If you have, then perhaps you're seasoned professionals, and that's wonderful. And then I'm going to do roll call, see who is here, who is not here, and then we'll go ahead and proceed hearing the cases. Now, I have found in my experience that it's sometimes difficult to go back and forth between models, to go from the Linwood to the Farmingdale to this one, when it's very much easier to go ahead and hear them by the model type, so that I get fully informed about your particular model. So that's how you'll be broken up today, by your model types. I have, I think, about 8 cases that are not in the Seabreeze community, and they will be heard first. All right? So, let's begin. Today we are, the Ocean County Board of Taxation will be hearing tax appeals for Lacey Township. If there's anyone here not for Lacey Township, please come up and let us know. In accordance with the law, the assessed value must represent the market value of each property as of October 1st of the pre-tax year. Under the current law, this board and the tax court are required to recognize a presumption of validity to the assessment as it has been established by the assessor. This means that the appellants, which would be you, are responsible to bring to this board facts and information by way of comparable sales that prove market value of your property is less than the current assessment. And this is so that everything remains uniform, so there is a level of fairness to everyone, so that adjustments aren't made sometimes for some people and not for others. Information that is fact-based, comparable sales that are reflective of your marketplace and the specific home that you have are required in order for us to be able to make a change. Because if you feel that there is a difference in value for your property, there should be proof in the market to support that. Many times during my hearings, even after I say that, even after information is given out, people will sit here all day and just to find out when they're called up that they have no sales data whatsoever. The only times where your testimony would be something that we could possibly make any adjustment to your valuation about without sales data is if you have sandy storm damage, if you have any structural issues with your home, and you have a report to go ahead and show that. Those issues can then be addressed separately. But if you have no sales data, I don't want anyone sitting here all day just to be angry and upset when they come up here and frustrated. There is nothing the board can do to help make any adjustment on your property without that information. Okay, so when we speak of a fact basis, we require evidence that should include, at minimum, comparable sales or an appraisal that is prepared by a state certified appraiser at minimum. The board cannot consider a comparison of assessments or property taxes. In instances where this board finds that the appellant is not prepared to offer appropriate evidence or facts, and they try to offer information that is not relevant to the specific property's market value, we will be forced to restrict that testimony. The board is also authorized to limit testimony to only qualified professionals and the owners of the properties. Motions may be granted by the attorneys for the municipality to dismiss an appeal for lack of proper evidence and/or for non-payment of your property taxes or your municipal water and sewer charges. Any business entity, this is also very important. A lot of times people now are putting their properties in trusts. Any business entity, such as a corporation, partnership, LLC, or trust, must be represented by a licensed state attorney. Okay? Finally, we wish to remind you that there is no smoking in this building. We also ask you to please turn down or turn off your cell phones so that when people are up here giving their testimony, they're not interrupted. Well, we have a young man, Gavin, who's in the audience with us today to film it so that he can present to other people who perhaps are confused, don't know anything about the process, how this works, how easy it is to come before the board, present your case, so that perhaps people will have a better understanding of our process, which is wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to explain the procedure briefly. To my left, you have here the assessor for this municipality and the attorney. I will ask them after I give you this little spiel to go ahead and introduce themselves to you in case you do not know who they are. When your name is called, I would ask you to please come forward, sit down at the table to my right, and then we will begin the process. I would appreciate it first, when you begin your testimony, to first give me some information about your property specifically. Let me know what it is we're dealing with. Then what you'll go ahead and do after you give information about your property, your sales data, explain to me why you feel that the assessment, is not correct for your property. Maybe there are specific issues about your property you want us to know about, whether it's the condition or if there are any issues with the home. And you present your sales, the municipality will then have the opportunity to cross-examine that, to let us know whether there are issues with the sales you've provided, or to ask you questions about the sales you've provided to determine whether or not they are actually comparable and usable sales. After that is done, the municipality then has an opportunity to introduce their sales. If they feel that your case hasn't been presented well, or if they feel that they don't want to put their evidence into the court testimony for the day, they do not have to do that. If they choose to, then you have the opportunity to go ahead and cross-examine their data. At the end of that back and forth, I will then give you an opportunity to do a summation. And then what happens at that point is all of the information that you've provided is then looked at and reviewed by the tax board. We go ahead and we make our decisions, and then after a town is fully heard, we go ahead, and I think it's just probably, Christine, maybe 2 to 3 weeks after the town is completely heard, letters will go out to let you know whether or not there has been a reduction. If you are not happy with those results, you always have the opportunity to appeal that and to go and take that to the state. All right? Gentlemen, if you would just please introduce yourselves to the people, and then I'll do the roll call.
Michael Gilmore, counsel for Lacey Township.
Mark Fitzpatrick, tax assessor, Lacey Township.
Okay. So, agenda item.
Could you introduce yourself? I have no idea who you are.
Right here, sir. Geraldine Ambrosio. That's me.
Oh.
Okay? I am a commissioner for the tax board. I've been an appraiser for 32 years. I've been a realtor for 35 years, and I'm a certified tax assessor as well. Okay? Agenda item number 1. Clancy, Thomas and Maureen Clancy. Good morning. Agenda item number 2. John and Dina Lepenica. John and Dina. Not here. Agenda item 3. Dimitrios Zarnas. Dimitrios Zarnas. Agenda item 4. John Chusano. John Chusano. Agenda item 5. Kevin and Jill Santucci. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Agenda item number 6. Graham and Lynn Hine. Graham and Lynn Hine. Agenda item number 7. Raymond and Lisa Howard.
Present.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Agenda item number 8. Alan and Kristen Knackman.
Here.
Good morning. Okay, now we will start with people from the Seabreeze community. I believe most of you are being represented by the same appraiser, Mr. Baldoni. I have a couple in the complex who are not. When I call your name and you let me know whether or not you are here, would you please also let me know what model that you have? Number 9 on the agenda, Stefan and Antoine Folkard.
Morning, Fairhaven.
Fairhaven, thank you, sir. Agenda item number 10, Pasquale and Lord DeServio.
Farmington.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item 11, Jill Gordon. Farmington. Okay, Jill, thank you. Number 12, John and Donna Jurek.
Here, so Farmington.
Farmington, okay. 13, Joseph and Marilyn Pompeo.
Here, Walden.
Okay, thank you, sir. Number 14, John and Helen Pacelli.
Here. Lehigh.
Lehigh, thank you, sir. Number 15, Gary and Deborah Nati.
Farmington.
Farmington. And sir, I have sales. You are representing yourself. I don't have...
Correct.
Okay. Agenda item number 16, we have Joseph and Lisa Jutta.
Here, Lehigh.
Okay, thank you, sir. 17, Joseph and Mary Catania.
Here, Lehigh.
Okay, good morning to you. 18 is Patricia Polera.
Good morning, Farmington.
Thank you, good morning to you. Agenda item 19, Mark and Barbara Corey. Mark and Barbara Corey. Not here. Agenda item 20, Alan and Susan Sherman. Alan and Susan Sherman. Number 21, Philip and Athena Roxas.
President Stockton.
Thank you, sir. Number 22, Eileen Hermani.
Here, Norwich.
Okay, thank you. Number 23, Richard and Helen Turner.
Here. Farmington.
Farmington, thank you, sir. Number 24, Karsten and Barbara Bischoff.
Here, Farmington.
Okay, thank you. Number 25, Carmen and Barbara Tulleri.
Here. Excuse me, Farmington.
Farmington, okay. 26, Ronald and Charlotte Martin.
Here, Farmington.
Farmington? Farmington?
Yes.
And number 27, Michael and Gloria Smith.
Here, Fairhaven.
All right, thank you, sir. 28 is Charles and Deborah Swigard.
Here, Linwood.
Glenwood. Thank you. Number 29, Walter and Narama Bischoff.
Nora Marie.
Nora Marie, I'm sorry.
Yes.
They kind of put it all together.
Good morning,
Good morning, sir.
Farmington.
Farmington, thank you. Number 30, Lawrence and Kathleen LaRusso.
Here, Farmington.
Okay, thank you. Number 31, John and Bertha Tier,
Here, Fairhaven.
Fairhaven. Okay, 32, Robert and Jane Gursky.
Good morning, Linwood.
Good morning, sir, thank you. Number 33, Natalie and Christine Burrow,
Here, Linwood.
Linwood, thank you. Number 34, Randall Scott and Del Cielo,
President and Hammond.
Hammond, thank you. Number 35, Paul and Karen Avalone,
Here, Binghamton.
Binghamton, okay. Number 36, Bonnie and Owen Galagli. I'm
Here,
sorry.
Linwood.
Thank you. Number 37, Nicholas and France Spaltro.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Farmington.
Farmington, okay. And then we have 38, Marie Kessel.
Here, Fairhaven.
Thank you, good morning. Number 39, Walter and Ruben Floric.
Judith Rubin here, Farmington.
Okay, thank you, Judith. Number 40, Eva Marie Lanza Thelma.
Here, Farmington.
Okay, thank you. Number 41, Arthur and Carol Branham.
Here, Stockton.
Thank you. Number 42, Matthew and Brenda Golembeski.
Here, Linwood.
Okay, thank you, sir. 43, Craig and Joanne Wask. W-A-S-K. The couple of people who weren't here from your community who were part of this, if you see them come in or whatever, would you please let me know? Number 44 would be John and Lauren Molika.
I can tell you that John's wife had to have heart surgery today,
Oh.
emergency, so
That's
I don't know if they put in for a request, but
Okay, but they're not here then.
they're not here now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
First time ever doing this, huh?
please rise and raise your right hand? All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this board is the truth, so help you God? Thank you very much. We have 4 cases to hear, and then we'll begin the series. Now, if you want to know, after I hear these 4 cases, I'm going to be starting with the Farmington model. And I know that this gentleman here had approached me. He had some comments about the Farmington model. Sir, if you would remind me again when I get to that, which case is yours, and then I'm going to have Jill Gordon come up as one of the first people. She's had an emergency situation, so I'd like to get her out as quickly as possible. Okay? All right. So, agenda item number 1, Thomas and Maureen Clancy. If you would, please come up. Good morning. Maureen?
Yes.
Maureen, you have a property located at 303 Hemlock Drive,
Yes.
and I have on my records that your home is approximately 1,300 square feet, and that it was built in 1982. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes.
Okay. And Maureen, would you please tell me what style home you have? Is it a ranch? Is it a colonial? Is it a cottage? What style home do you have?
It's a ranch.
Ranch, 1 story?
Yes.
And how many bedrooms do you have in your home?
2.
2, and how many bathrooms?
2.
Do you have a basement?
No.
Okay. How about a garage?
Yes.
A 1 car, 2 car?
1 car.
Is that attached or detached?
Attached.
And what type of amenities do you have at your home? Do you have a pool, a fence, a deck, anything like that?
No. Nothing.
And your home was built in 1982. Have there been any recent upgrades to the home? What would you say the effective age would be a home built in 1982?
A home building.
Okay. And where is your home located?
303 Hemlock Drive.
No, that part I know already. What is your neighborhood? Linoka Harbor? Okay. Okay, you are currently assessed for 185.6. On your appeal form, you did not say what you thought that the value of your home was. You did provide some sales. One of them is dated that it closed in August of 2015, and that sale was located at 619 Twin River Drive. So tell me, is that located in your neighborhood?
I'm not sure where that is,
Okay. So why did you think it was comparable to your home?
because I got it from real estate.
But you have no idea yourself. So what if the realtor gave you stuff that wasn't comparable to your home? Did you go buy them to see what they looked like,
She
or
did.
see if they're the same neighborhood?
She went through and she showed me on the computer. I have no central air in my house.
Okay.
My house definitely wouldn't sell for that price. It's horrendous.
How about 817 Tappan? Do you know anything about that property?
No.
Do you realize that property has 5 bedrooms and your house has 2? Do you think that's comparable to your home?
No, I don't.
Okay, so then why was it submitted as a comparable?
I guess maybe because they have central air, I really don't know. And a garage, and they have,
Yeah.
you know.
But a 5-bedroom home, then would that appeal to the same buyers purchasing a 2-bedroom home?
I never saw the inside of it.
Okay. So then we have a sale at 1208 Bullard Drive. And
See, I have the papers that you're reading from. I left them home by accident. I was going to come home and get them, but I didn't know it was going to be gone.
Okay.
But I
Now,
gave
do you
the
have,
copy and I gave the tax
Do you have
assessor.
oil heat?
Yes.
You do. Is it above ground or below ground heat?
I don't have oil heat, I have gas. I'm ready to go.
Okay. So what is it you think your house is worth?
If I was to sell it today,
What do you think your house, you came here to appeal your value.
Yes,
You're valued at 185.6. What do you think it's worth?
I would say no more than 160.
And you base that on which of the comparable sales? Because some of these sales are somewhat comparable to your home, some are not comparable at all.
I think you have one there that's on Hemlock Drive.
Hemlock? Okay, let's take a look at that one.
I saw that one.
So that one you would think, because that's over right on your street. Right.
Again, I didn't see the inside of it.
Okay. So the town used that sale as well? Let's take a
No,
look.
she didn't present that.
Oh, so that's, Hemlock is not your sale, that's the town sale. Is that correct? Because I don't see it here with your information. So their data hasn't been entered yet, but based on the sales that you provided me, I mean, I do have some sales prices that are in that 165 price range, but those homes aren't comparable to your home. And some of them say that they were in ill repair, they needed a handyman. So I don't know what the condition of those homes were. Is your home in that type of condition? Is it not livable? Does it require a handyman or a CO to occupy?
No.
Okay, all right.
I know my heating system is from day one, and I was told by New Jersey, that I'm going to have to, think about it.
Replace that?
Replace
Okay.
that.
And what is it? You said you have oil heat, is that forced air, baseboard heating? What is it?
Baseboard.
Baseboard? Okay. And no central air, you said, correct?
No central air.
And let me just confirm with you, your lot size is 75 by 100, is that correct?
I don't know how that came out. I have lot 10, no, that's not it.
Okay, municipality, is there anything that you'd like to enter?
We'll enter 318 Hemlock Drive.
Okay.
Still on the same street.
So Maureen, you mentioned that you thought this was a good sale for your home. This is the property on Hemlock, 318, which is on your street, and the township is going to go ahead and enter that. Okay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, what did that property sell for?
That property sold for $185,000.
And how many square feet is that property?
That is approximately 1,020 square feet, so approximately 300 square feet smaller than this.
No further questions.
Okay, so now that the township went ahead and entered that evidence, do you have any questions about that sale? Because you had stated to me previously, you thought that was a good sale for your home, and that basically supports the township's valuation on your home.
I think I have something on Hemlock in the papers that I gave you and that I gave them. My house definitely wouldn't sell. I mean, I think this is ludicrous, I really do.
Maureen, I don't have anything on Hemlock from you. I have a property on Tappan, I have a property on Twin River, I have a property on Millard Drive, and one on Chelsea. Those are the ones that I have. And what I have from the township, and you had stated, because their sales are all right in your immediate neighborhood, and their value range is 180 to 230. Your home is a ranch that is 1,300 square feet, a little bit over that. This particular home is only 1,000 square feet, baseboard, no central air, has the 2 bathrooms like you do, really has no upgrades, and it's on a smaller lot. It's on a 50 by a 139 lot, and you're on a 75 by 100 lot. And this sale sold for 185.
It could have been repaired, and nothing tears in my eyes, inside there.
It could have.
Bathroom and all that stuff, nothing has been done to my house, and for somebody to sit there and just take the price out of your head.
Nobody's
it's not
taking,
right.
excuse me, Maureen, let's deal with facts. Now, I understand people are frustrated because maybe they have economic problems, maybe you have a feeling that things should be different, but we deal with facts here. Now, they provided facts for your neighborhood. You told me you thought that sale was a good sale for your home. So what I'm saying to you is the sales on your street and in your neighborhood are in that price range, and the home is smaller than yours, and it doesn't have central air, it doesn't have anything, and it's on a smaller lot. So to sit there and suggest that they're pulling stuff out of thin air, that's really not fair, because they presented facts. You presented facts too, but unfortunately, you didn't take the time to go see the houses to see if they were even comparable to your home, and a 5-bedroom home, to compare that, a 5-bedroom home in very poor condition, that's listed as a handyman special, that's, dangerous to go into, is not the same as a 2-bedroom home that you're living in. So you have to be careful. That's why they're comparables. That word means that they're similar. So you have to, compare like things. Otherwise, that's pulling stuff out of the air. Just because you think it's less, it may be, but just bring us the proof so that we have that, okay? So now, the 318 Hemlock, because it is on your street, are you familiar with that home?
I drove by it, I mean, I don't know the people like that.
Okay. Did it seem as though there were any large upgrades made to the house? Because I don't see anything, and I see photos of the house, and it looks like a very average quality home.
I mean, I have no idea because I didn't go inside.
Now, you said you drove past it. Was it similar to your home?
It was up on it, like,
So do you think the location is superior to yours, the way that it sits on the street?
I really don't know what to say. I mean, I drove by it, I saw it, I think you have to go up steps to go to it or something
Right.
like that.
I think it's important, and it's kind of a good example, and just so you know, so that when you come back in the future, you really understand the process a little bit better. When you do get sales from people, and it's nice that you have a realtor who would help you out with that, that's a good first step, where you can go to the Ocean County Board of Taxation website, and that's a wonderful resource, but you have to know something about them. Because if you bring me sales and you say this is similar to my home, and then I ask you questions about it, you have to know something so that I can figure out, is this really comparable to your home? But when I look at a sale in another neighborhood with 5 bedrooms, that the listing is saying it's in bad condition, and then I have a sale on the township on your street, the same, even a smaller square footage on a smaller lot, and it's selling for the price they're saying your house is valued at, if you were looking at facts like that, and you were unemotional in this situation, what would you think?
I just feel that,
Feel that your taxes are too high.
much too high.
But unfortunately, the way things go in the state, assessments are placed, and that's based on facts, that's based on the market, then rates are applied, and in New Jersey, we have a high tax rate. Hopefully someday that can be addressed, but we have a framework we have to work in, and that's all we can do.
I just feel bad that I came here, not
Not fully prepared.
I've never did this before.
But here's the good part.
I'm just not, I just don't know how to.
But Maureen, here's the good part. Now, next time, you don't have to be afraid, because you kind of know what's going to happen. All you need to do is find sales in your neighborhood, take the time, go look at them, find out, are they really similar to my home? And if they are, and they've sold for less, then bring them here. So then we can take a look at that and say, you know what, Maureen's right. There are houses right in her neighborhood that have sold for less. So let's really look at this. Okay? Thank you very much for coming. You did a great job. Okay? So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at all the information provided, and then we'll go ahead and make a decision on your behalf.
Could I just ask you, do you have the papers that I faxed to you?
The sales,
Yeah.
the listings that you sent, yes, I do. Yeah. Yep, they're all in here, in the package.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Have a good day. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
Excuse me, I apologize for being late. Craig Wask.
Was? Okay, Craig, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Craig, please remind me, sir, when you come up, I'm going to have you swear in, because you aren't here to do that. Or you can do. 2 through 4, no one was here for that. If there's anyone in the audience who sees their name and for one of those agenda items, and they were not here for roll call, please let us know. Otherwise, we are at agenda item number 5, and that would be Kevin and Jill Santucci. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Lots is here.
Yes, it is.
What model?
What model is this?
Yeah, what model is it?
He has model number. Wrong page.
Did he indicate Farmington, Linwood?
Oh, thank you. Mr. Watts? Westridge? It's a Westridge. Okay.
Westridge.
Westridge, thank you, sir. Okay, so agenda item number 5, 234 Eagleswood Avenue. Okay. Mr. Santucci, your property, sir, I have at 3170 square feet, and I have that it was built in 2005. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that you are located, your site is 129 by 100 for your lot size?
It's 129 by 120.
120?
Yes.
And sir, is your home a colonial style home?
Yes.
And how many bedrooms and baths do you have?
4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms.
Sir, do you have a basement?
I do.
And is that a walkout?
No.
Okay, is that a finished basement?
No.
And is it a 2-car garage?
Yes. Attached.
Okay. And sir, what type of amenities do you have?
I have a swimming pool.
Is that in-ground?
Yes,
Okay, so you have a fence?
I do.
Is there a deck, patio?
Patio.
Okay. And so your home is a pretty modern home, so have there been any other recent upgrades to it, or basically the condition of a home built in
Basically, just the
2005?
money that I get.
Okay, great. All right, so you are currently assessed at $497,100. You believe that your assessment should be reduced to $375, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see the sales that you've provided. Number 1, we have a sale, and let me ask you first, are you in any particular development?
It's Cedar Creek Estates in Winona Harbor.
Cedar Creek Estates. Have there been any resales in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay, and so do I have any sales from your neighborhood?
The town provided one for the
Okay.
neighborhood.
So if
It's
that-
735 Hill Street.
Okay, but
And-
you chose not to use the sale in your neighborhood?
Yeah, originally I didn't have it. I didn't have that.
Okay, all right.
But
so-
I actually
All right, go ahead.
kind of would like to address that one because I.
If they decide,
Okay, that's
to
fine.
enter that.
Sure.
So now 11 Ridgemont, which was sold in July of 2015,
Yeah.
and that property is about 2,300 square feet, so that's significantly smaller than your home. Do you have a brick facade on your home?
I do not.
Okay. Do you feel that this home is comparable to yours?
I believe that it is, due to the fact that it's a finished basement, it can be used as a living area. I do not have a finished basement myself.
Yes, sir, but you have 3,000, almost 3,200 square feet of living space. Then you have a basement that can be finished. They
But it
only
is-
have 2,300. That's 1,400 square feet. People live in 1,400 square feet. That's a considerably larger home.
But the fact that it's finished doesn't.
But, no, because it's not gross living area, it's not living space, it's below grade area. And if we were to cost out and go ahead and add in what that additional 1,400 square feet would be, it would be substantial. So it is a different type of living space, but is it in the general vicinity
It
of
is
your
in
home?
Lenoka, yeah, it's not in Cedar Creek Estates, no.
Okay. And that home was built in 1998, so it is also older than your home.
Yes.
So it's older and smaller. So would you say that was comparable or inferior?
I thought it was comparable, just to the fact that the basement, you're saying it's not, and it has granite countertops, it has an in-ground pool, as well as I do. It has a screened-in porch, which I do not have.
Okay,
So I thought that stuff would add to the value of the house.
okay.
I know it's not 100% comparable, but
And sir, that property sold for how much?
$376,000.
376. And that was on the market for 80 days, which was... All right, let's take a look at number 2, which is 715 Joseph Avenue,
Yes.
and that one is 2,700 square feet,
Yeah.
built in 1999. It's in the Oakfield section, and that is a colonial, and that is, again, a smaller home that is older. It looks a little bit more similar to your home than the first sale.
Yes.
And that one also, sir, has the pool,
Yes.
okay? And does that have a basement?
It does.
And is that finished?
It is not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so then you have a home with the amenities that you have, it has the basement, but it is smaller and older than your home. And that one sold for how much, sir?
That sold for $385,000.
$385,000. Are you aware that there were also concessions on that sale of $1,700? So that would come off of that sale price, okay? So let's see. Now, they did also put in the listing, this is not a short sale. So it says, price reduction, anxious seller, all reasonable offers, just lowered, not a short sale. So they're indicating that the market might believe that this house sold below market because it seems to be lower than what would be typical. Okay, that's what those types of words in the listing usually indicate.
I would take it as they couldn't sell it, can't work with it, that's what you're going to say. I mean, why would anybody not sell their house for more money?
It was only on the market for, it wasn't on the market for a long time, but people sell their homes for all kinds of reasons.
Sure.
They may be relocated, they may have had a death in the family, there's all kinds of reasons. All right, so let's look at the next one. So you have 707 Leanne Court, and that is in the Greenscape development. And that looks like, sir, that's on a very small lot. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I
actually
read the
bigger
wrong
than
number. So 140 by 123, and that is 26, almost 2,700 square feet, and that was built around the same time as yours in 2006. So that has a basement, do you know if that one's finished?
It does, I'm not sure.
It might not, because it's in the description, it's only saying.
It says unfinished.
Storage, okay,
Yes.
it's unfinished, okay. And sir, do they have a pool?
I'm aware.
Okay, and the sales price on that, 415, is that the number you have?
Yes.
Okay. And then I have one more sale from you, and that would be the 540 North Lake Warnigat Drive in Cranberry Hill. A much more recent sale, 2014. So was this sort of new construction, a new construction sale?
It is.
Okay, and that one is 2,500 square feet.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm wondering, the sale that was in your neighborhood, was that within the time frame? But you just didn't know about it?
Yeah, you know what, I knew about it. I got the comps from the real estate person I got from, I didn't get that one.
Okay. Alrighty, so this property on North Lake Barnegat Drive, that one sold a little after the sampling period, but it was already under contract, and that one sold for $410, is that correct?
Yes.
So, sir, that would not have the upgrades or additional amenities like the swimming pool and so forth, because it's new construction, correct? Okay. Do you know if that basement was finished?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right.
I listed that due to the fact that it has a larger lot than I do.
Okay.
Granite countertops, hardwood floors throughout.
So it has some more upgrades than your home
Yeah.
does? Is your home a builder-grade home? Do you have
Mostly.
upgraded countertops,
No.
stainless steel appliances? No.
Oh, stainless steel, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Pally, did you want to speak to the sales that were presented? And also, did you want to put into evidence any of your sales?
Just like to point out that 540, it was new construction closed on 2015, so it hasn't even been assessed yet. So I don't really have information to confirm nor deny what the MLS says. So
Okay.
it's kind of hard to take MLSs for truth. They are wrong on many applications sometimes. Just point out that the other
They do fudge a little.
They do fudge a little, yes. The 3 homes provided by the homeowner are really not in the direct neighborhood of the subject. The three houses provided by the township, 34 Hilltop, which is a 3,100 square foot house, sold for $515. 745 Hill Street is a 3,085 square foot house, which sold for $495. And 225 Eagleswood Ave, which is about 3,000 square feet, was sold for $225. So you have the top end of the market at $515, you have the bottom end of it, which is at $425, and he's towards the top end at $497.
So Eagleswood is on his street, the Hilltop and Hill Street, where are those properties located?
They're in direct circle, less than a mile.
Okay, and how far away, the 11 Ridgemont I feel is very inferior. The other two sales he provided, the ones on 715 Joseph, and then the third one at 707 Leanne, how far in distance would they be from the subject property?
Probably between 2 or 3 miles.
And the sales you provided are how close?
They're all less than a mile.
Sir, do you have any questions about the sales that he provided? Because he
I do.
did provide one on your street and
I do.
2 in your immediate area.
750, or 745 Hill Street, rather. It's actually the same model house as mine, except the front elevation is different.
Okay.
I actually have to build those plans for the original owner of the house.
Okay.
That sold for $495, I'm assessed at $497, the square footage is the same. It's on a larger lot, the same pool with a hot tub, a 20 by 60 screened-in porch, outdoor paver kitchen, and a fully finished basement. It's actually sold for $2,000 less than my house. It's got many more photos of it. It's got many more amenities that I have in mind. It's actually very nice.
Okay. But it is slightly, their main square footage is slightly smaller than yours. So that would offset some of those things, maybe not all of them, but you're at almost 3,200 square feet and they're not even at 31.
Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't understand how that
It's pretty
assessment's made because I have the floor plans of the house and they're all the same.
Okay.
Everybody in my development has the same.
Did they do any
square
bump
footage.
outs or did you do that? That would have
I do, but the
extended
people that I know
yours?
that have that also have
Okay.
different square footage. I don't know. I know it's,
Okay.
you know.
But
big
you
measurements.
feel that that is a good sale because it's exactly the same home as yours, but it has more upgrades in your home house, correct?
I do.
And that has
Many.
the pool, the fence, it has an enclosed porch that you had stated, plus it has the outdoor kitchen space.
Yeah, a fully finished basement, which is about
Okay.
1,600 square feet.
Do you know if it's a walkout or not?
It is not.
And sir, the Eagleswood Avenue, which is located on your
That's on my
street,
street, yes. Yeah, I realize that it's
and it's smaller, it's
slightly
not,
smaller than mine. The lot is actually larger. It has a pool, granite countertops. I know it wasn't a short sale, like you said earlier. I realize, yeah, it's slightly smaller, but it's also 70,000 less than my house.
okay. And then sir, the Hilltop Drive, what do you think about that sale? Is that your immediate neighborhood as well?
It's near there. It's not in that neighborhood. It's not in Cedar Creek, I should say. Cedar Creek Estates, not the same builder as
And
the
that
other
one
two
has
are.
the finished basement also?
That one, yes. It's approximately 1,500 square feet. It's
And
got-
that home is similar to your square footage?
Yeah, the main, yes, the house portion.
Okay, it has the pool and a patio.
Yeah, hardwood flooring throughout, granite countertops,
And sir, what do you have? Do you have just carpeting in the home?
carpet tile.
Carpet tile? And no granite countertops?
No,
What type of material do you have?
for my.
Formica? Really? Still do that?
That
In houses in this
that would be
building?
for my. I don't
Is that
know.
worrying maybe or something? I was like, not in a house like this. I don't know, I don't even think you're allowed to do that. Okay. It's probably some kind of material, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably one of the newer engineered stones.
Okay.
No, it's not stone. Mine?
Right.
No, mine's not stone.
It's called engineered stone.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's like the builder's stuff.
Yeah. Okay, all right, cool. All right, so you've provided some sales, the township has provided some sales. You did a good job, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and look at all of the information that was presented, and we'll go ahead and make a determination on your behalf.
Can I just say, I know you're not supposed to use other comparables, I get that. I understand to speak to Mr. Dispatcher, correct?
You can't introduce anything that you didn't introduce 7 days in advance, so don't even talk about it. because it's not fair to everyone else who went by the rules. Those are the rules, and there has to be a cutoff date so that somebody can't bring something new the day of the hearing, and the assessor would not have had an opportunity to determine if it was a good sale. All right? Sir, thank you very much. You did a very good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 6. That person was not here in the morning, so we will move to agenda item number 7. And that would be Raymond and Lisa Howard. Good morning. All right, so I'm in the same neighborhood.
Correct, well, different builders, but
Okay, but still that same vicinity, all righty. And is your neighborhood the same development as the gentleman who was here previously?
it's, their cedar creek estates were White Oak.
White Oak, okay. And just to make sure that our information is accurate, I have you at 203 Stafford Avenue. I have a square footage for your home at 3,338. I have that your home was built in 2009 and that you are on 2.97 acres. Is that correct?
The acreage is really .22.
I'm sorry, sir, what is it?
The .22. is-
.22?
Right, I'm sorry, .22 plus the excess of .31. The other is just conservation, just unbuilt.
But it's still your property with a conservation easement. I have one too, it's kind of nice. It's a nice buffer so nobody can see what I do.
I'm just going to show her the copy of the tax.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to show her.
So the rest of it,
Right.
just unbuilt.
Right.
Building envelope, says the name on it.
Okay, oh, that's, wow, that's great. Building envelope is that 0.53? 0.53? All right, great. Okay, so if you would, you are currently assessed at 506.7, and you believe that that assessment should be reduced to 440, and you have provided sales at 225 Eagleswood, which was one of the sales that the assessor had provided at 425, 19 Emerald Court at 410, and 541 Brentwood Road at $430,000.
I actually went and submitted 5 different ones. Yes.
So behind that, I have some additional, I have another form.
Okay, yeah, that is
So I
correct
have
now.
the 34 Hilltop.
Correct.
Oh, so you took out Emerald Court, we'll take that one out. Okay, so now I have 225 Eagleswood at 425, 541 Brentwood at 430, the 34 Hilltop at 515. I have the 707, is that like you? Is that how it's pronounced? Liam? Leanne, oh Leanne, I thought it was a J, for 415, and we've seen that sale before. And the 25 Ernest at 470. All right? So it looks like you did a really good job here. Now, if you would, your property again is over 33, a little over 3,300 square feet. Go ahead and speak about, we've heard a little bit about the 225 Eagleswood. The square footage on that, is that so much your home?
That's 2,800 square feet, so it's slightly less.
Okay. It's 29.98 the tax has.
29.98. Sold on.
And it must be a good sale because the assessor chose to use that one as well.
Sold on January 2015 for $425,000. 11 years old, 122 square foot. It has 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, another bath, larger than ours. Additional in-law suite, gourmet kitchen, granite countertops, in-ground pool. As I said, a full in-law suite with that.
Oh, that one has an in-law suite?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Howard, on your home, sir, I know it's the colonial style, your 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, or are you 3 bath?
We have 5 bedrooms listed at 6, but it's a study in the bath, which
Okay.
that does
Has
have a
no
closet,
closet?
but it is a study. It's on a different level, there's no bathroom.
Okay. And bathrooms now? 2.5? Your upper basement finished?
No finished.
No?
Full basement, not finished.
And do you have a walkout?
We have a building door.
Just a local door, okay. And it's a standard two-car garage? All right. So sir, does your home have a pool or any of the other amenities you mentioned for this property? So no pool? How about a deck, patio, anything like that?
We have a deck off and back of the house, the builder.
Builder? Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to just skip a minute because I noticed that the assessor also used your 34 Hilltop Drive. So would you explain that some to me, sir?
34 Hilltop is, the square footage is 3102. Sold July 2015 for $550,000. Built in 2008, similar to ours. Tax records do not include that finished basement. I'm not sure why, it makes the house over 4,600 square feet.
Because the basement, even if it's finished, is below grade living area. And the way that assessors and appraisers count a gross living area, which is what you'll see the GLA, if anyone sees that, that's what that stands for, it is only the above grade living space. The only time that sometimes they will count it, and that's why I asked you if you had the above grade basement, is sometimes because of the elevation of the home, the back of the house, the whole basement is above grade, and sometimes you'll get some credit for it.
Has 3 baths, located in Holly Hills area. So it's 4 to 5 bedrooms, and like I said, 3 baths, 12 rooms.
And sir, you feel that that house is similar to your home?
It is.
Now, the price point is $515,000, which is even over your assessment, correct? The sale price on that one?
Right. I looked at it as the adjustment for this full finished basement, has a theater room. I understand that it's not in that. Has a in-ground pool, has a pool house, outdoor kitchen. I mean, those adjustments for that, those types of amenities, drive that
So
price way up.
your feeling is that location is comparable, and I would think that that's probably on target since the assessor feels so as well and he knows his market very well. And you feel that the quality of construction, the style of the home, that's all there as well, similar square footage for the home, but they have more in the way of amenities and upgrades to the home than yours does. And that's your feeling for why your home should be priced a little bit less. Okay. That sounds reasonable. And then, sir, if you would, I did look at the 707 and so if you would, the property at the 25 Ernest, is that also in your neighborhood?
Not our neighborhood, it's like around.
But in close proximity to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It is 0.4 miles away.
Okay. Yes, please.
That property has 4117 square feet, sold on October of 14 for $470,000, $12 a square foot. The custom home has 12 rooms. It has an in-ground pool. So the amenities are, has an outdoor, outside deck. I'm sorry, no pool.
No pool on Ernest?
No pool on Ernest. No. Hot tubs, not pool.
Okay. And then, sir, the last sale that you provided, which is the expanded ranch on Brentwood? And I'm not really going to look at that one as much as I'm going to list the others because a lot of people buying colonials aren't buying ranches. It's kind of a different buyer. You tend to get your first-time buyers or your older buyers who don't want to go upstairs. You tend to get your family buyers and so forth. A whole different buyer with your colonial. So you provided very good sales with the Eagleswood, the Hilltop. I think that 707 Leanne is a little bit inferior to yours, and the 25 Ernest appears to be very good as well. So you provided a value range of 425, 425, 470, and 515. So 425 to 515. And you feel you're somewhere in the middle, but perhaps towards the lower end of that range because you don't have all of those amenities.
All builders agree, there's no upgrades, no special.
Okay. That sounds quite reasonable. Municipality?
The only thing I would really like to point out is the fact that 25 Rivers Drive really is the outlier for my sales throughout this year. And even if you just look at, on a general price per square foot basis with the comps supplied by them, 155, 145, 166, 114, 141. I mean, it's nowhere near anything of the 3,000 and up square foot houses. It really is just one of those stats that I have no explanation for.
Okay.
It just kind of falls into that category.
But you agree that the other sales, the Hilltop and the Eagleswood, because you've used them as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The three sales provided by the town are definitely in a cluster around the subject. Some of the other sales provided are miles away.
So now I'm wondering, what we have to look at is, although they may have less in the area of amenities, they do have this enormous lot.
Correct.
And I know myself, because I have that same kind of easement in my backyard, even though I can't use that, it's wonderful to have that. It's a wonderful buffer. So even though it doesn't have the full amount of value, because you can't utilize it like you can the area that you can build on and so forth, it does add additional value to the house. And so that's what we'll have to take a look at. You did a wonderful job with your sales. You're right on, and you've given me a really good point to start to say, this is where they are and they're here, but then some consideration has to be made, because people will pay more to have that kind of private buffer. All right? Were there any questions you had for any of the, we addressed the one and you had used the other ones. Did you want to stop there, or did you want to enter 745?
Yes, 745, I'd like to enter 745 Hilltop as well. It's in that same general less than a mile cluster as we've already spoken about. The house is 4 years older, 300 square feet smaller, and sold for $495.
Okay.
So like I said, we're looking at a range of value just with the comps of, essentially 140 to 166 square foot. I think they fall well within the range.
Okay. And now he has provided, of course, the sales that you provided, two of them, and also the 745 Hill, which seems to be, a good indicator of value as well. Did you have any questions about that?
I mean, it is outside of the October, I thought the range was a little bit later.
It is, but when it comes, because we can go literally up to the 2016 date if it's under contract before. And it was. So it'll get weight. The sales that are before that will get more weight, but it will be given some consideration, because it would have been, if it sold on October 14th, it would be very rare for it not to have been under contract on October 1st.
So this is supposed to be clear, we did look at that, and we did
Right.
include that just
Right,
because it wasn't
okay.
arranged.
But you did a very, very good job. And I hope you understand, while I believe that what you've presented is extremely reasonable, that your home would be closer to that lower end because you don't have all of those upgrades, we will have to factor in for that additional lot, because it really is, to some people, I'm sure there are people that would pay a lot more to have that privacy.
I can just comment on the 745. They do have a two-story stone fireplace. They do have a screen-in porch, finished deck. They have a pool, outdoor kitchen, finished basement.
So they have a lot of amenities.
I mean, and we know that house personally from a friend of
Right.
ours that lived there, and it's gorgeous. And
Okay.
it's really the
Yeah, we
upgrade.
did a lot of
They have
things.
$20,000 upgrade in the kitchen, minor addition, deck value was over $10,000. Not to think, and the finished basement was at least 20 grand. I mean, it was a lot of money put into that house.
Okay. All right, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Both of you, thank you. Great job. Okay, and the last of the hearings before we go ahead and go to Seabreeze, agenda item number 8, Alan and Kristen Knock. Good morning, sir. Oh, well, Mr. Knockman, it looks like you got the Mac Daddy. You're almost at 4,000 square feet, huh? So you, sir, are at 747 Grove Street, is that correct? Okay. And again, it's 3,960 square feet. And it says here that your home was built in 2006, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And sir, you are on a 113 by 160 lot, is that correct?
I don't know the exact size.
But it seems
Yes,
reasonable?
that's correct.
Okay. And would you be in that same neighborhood as well?
Next door neighbors, yes.
Okay, so which one are you in? Which neighborhood is yours?
White Oaks.
The White Oaks?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like a lovely area. All right. So sir, you have included some additional, so we have the 225 Eagleswood, which we've seen several times now.
That's correct.
Oh, they're like all the same ones.
Yes, they're all the same.
How cool is that? All right, so we kind of know the sales now.
Yes.
Would you kind of just go through your home and kind of compare those to yours?
Yes. So the subject home is 747 Grove Street. It's a colonial type house, 3,960 square feet, built in 2007. It's a two-story average colonial. It's a total of 10 rooms, 5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2-car garage, full basement, unfinished,
Okay.
vinyl siding, asphalt roof, gas fireplace. It's hardwood, carpeting. The lot size is approximately 18,000 square feet. It does have a pool and
Alan, is that an in-ground pool?
It is an in-ground
And have a
pool.
fence as well?
I do.
Patio around the pool?
I do, yes.
And how about a deck?
Yes, I do.
Any kind of enclosed porch or outdoor kitchen in your
I
property?
do not.
All right. And your basement, sir, that's not one of the walkout basements
It is
either?
not, and it's an unfinished basement.
And, you know, it was built recently. Any additional upgrades, anything else
No,
added to the home?
it's as it was built in 2007.
Okay. So would your contention be that some of these homes, I'm looking at that one in particular, which one is it that? So 225 Eagleswood, which sold for 425, but that would be almost 1,000 square feet smaller than yours.
That is correct. But then again, it sold for 425.
Right.
And my assessment, I think, is 539, 800.
And you think you should be at 499?
Right,
Which is
so I'm only asking for
under that?
I'm asking for a 7% reduction. I'm not asking for a whole lot.
Sometimes that's an issue though, because you do know the way that the
Right.
way that the system is created, just so everyone understands,
Yeah.
because you have to kind of factor in some measure on the part of the assessor. When you're doing massive appraisal, you're dealing with thousands of properties and you can't focus on each individual property per se, they have a margin of error of 15%. So technically, you fall below that margin. So technically, the state statute says no adjustment has to be made. Okay, but we'll take everything into consideration. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or did you want to see if they wanted to enter their sales?
Well, I guess I guess I'd like to add that, when I did my research for my comparable sales, I did a search of anywhere between $400,000 and $600,000.
Right.
Only 6 homes between the dates given, 2014, 2015, October 1st, only 6 homes sold in that price range, at that value, non-waterfront.
Okay.
I did choose, as you can see, 5 out of those 6 homes.
Right,
As
very good job.
If you look at some of the comparables that I did submit, listening to other testimony from other participants, I noticed that, you did, kick a few of those out, like the ranch house that's not comparable, even though, it is almost 6,000
I mean, not for
square feet.
nothing, if you didn't have other data,
Right.
and you needed to use that, then of course I would consider it. But because
Right.
you have such other good data with the sales that are really comparable to your home,
Yeah.
it's really not
I
needed.
do understand that,
Can
and
I interrupt you just for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
The ranch that you're talking about,
Yeah.
it's actually only about 3,000 square feet. For some reason, the listing agent put the finished basement area and like an enclosed porch and everything
Right.
in the listing to make it
Right.
appear bigger than it is.
And I think that's the same thing for, which you use as a comparable as well, 34 Hilltop. I think the tax record says a 3,100 square foot
It
house.
is.
That's
Well,
what I
with the
have.
finished basement, according to the MLS,
Right.
it's got it as 4,700 square feet finished.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's, like
you have to
I
be
said,
careful.
sometimes you have to look at
Yeah.
that. That's technically only really a 3,000 square foot
Right.
house,
Yeah.
even though the MLS tried to bolster it as this
But-
much larger
right, but I
house.
guess what you have
And
to...
you always want to be careful of that, because you have to remember, the MLS is a marketing tool.
Right,
They
right.
want that property to
Right.
sound as good as they can make it sound. It's not always
I do
accurate
understand
data.
that, but I guess that house, even though...
But in the record that he gave me for that 34 Hilltop, it is shown as 3,100 square feet, not anything larger than that.
Right. Okay.
Because what it does, just so you know the breakout that I get, it shows me that the house is 3,100 square feet, and then it tells me that 1,000 square feet of the basement is finished.
Right.
So I can go ahead and discern the difference
Right.
between the finished basement and this gross living
I
area.
understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's not to mean that the MLSs are always, not accurate or purposely deceiving or anything.
Right.
It's just that marketing is a little bit different than fact.
Right, right.
All right. So I think you did a magnificent job. Anything else in summation that you'd like to say?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, I just agree with, I guess comparable, I guess that the town came back at, which was, I believe,
The 745 bill was the only one that you did not.
right, and that was, that was not included purposely by me, because that was outside the date range, unless I surely would have included it, because it is right around the corner from my house.
Okay.
But I guess if you look at the amenities that the house has compared to mine, also, it does have a...
That was the one with the pool, the kitchen, and all the
Right,
amenities.
it has an outdoor kitchen, finished basement, 12 by 60 screen porch. It has a lot more amenities than mine does.
Okay.
Mine does.
All right.
So that, and it did sell for $495.
Okay.
So that's where, and I would agree that I would compare to this, however, that's again why I'm only asking for $499, this house sold for $495. And again, it does have a finished basement, hot tub, pool, screen porch, built-in kitchen outside.
Do you have a pool?
I do have a pool.
Right. Yes, he said he has a
Just
full
one-
fence and a patio.
Just the last thing, Tal was saying, range of price per square foot value is 166 to 142. He falls in at 136. So he's below, on a price per square foot basis, he's below the bottom of the range.
Right. And I get that part, and that is significant, and that's one of the tools that we use to determine if they're similar quality homes, they should be at the same price point. But there is also the issue in
Adjustments
this
that
market,
you made.
when you have all these
Yes,
amenities,
that's
people are
necessary.
paying a lot of money for it because they don't want to have to do it themselves.
I agree.
So we will take all that into
Yeah, so, and
consideration.
I do feel like, being that the assessment is, 540, nothing in Lacey Township, non-water line.
Right.
Non-water line sold more than 515,000.
Okay. Well, we'll take everything into consideration. Thank you so much. You did a very good job. You enjoy your holiday weekend. Hopefully we'll have beautiful weather like we do today. Okay, here we go.
Commissioner? Informal account of the models, I don't know if you had done as well.
I have all the models. Okay.
In terms of how many of each?
Oh, yes, you want me to tell you how many you have of each?
Yeah,
Because
I got through and did the same thing, so I just didn't know if you want to
Oh,
go
okay.
in order of.
Yeah, I was going to, actually, Michael, I was going to start with the ones that there's only one. of
That's
each.
what I was.
But I had a woman come in today, her friend just had a heart attack, and she wants to go to the hospital, and that's the Farmington model.
Okay.
And one of the gentlemen here in the front had some additional information to be an overview of the market. So I'm going to start with the Farmington, and then what I'll do is go back to the individual units where there's just one, okay? All right. So what was your name again, please?
Nick Spaltro.
Nick
Nicholas
Spaltro? So Jill, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to call your model. I'm going to have Mr. Spaltro come up first. He felt he had some additional information as a spokesman for the group to impart to me about the project. And so we'll go ahead and we'll start there. We'll finish up the Farmington model so that you can go after that, so you can leave. And then we'll go ahead and go model to model. This way, I get to hear everything about that particular model. It makes it a lot less confusing, a lot easier to understand the differences in the models. So, on here. Mr. Spaltro, agenda item number 37. We'll be going to agenda item 37, Mr. Spaltro. And sir, I can't take any additional information that hasn't been provided 7 days in advance.
Oh, I thought you'd follow along.
No, that's all right. You can go ahead and just speak to
Okay, that's
some broad
fine.
information.
But I brought you a copy. I brought you guys a copy of my last night at 11 o'clock, so. You want to join me for the...
Actually, do you have an extra copy since she's not taking his evidence?
All right. Yeah. Mr. Spaltro, would your appraiser be joining you? Mr.
He asked me to join us. Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Spaltro, I will give you, sir, first an opportunity to give me some of the information you felt was pertinent about the project, and then I will address the appraisal that was prepared by your appraiser.
Yes.
Okay, sir, if you would.
Okay,
And remember, just be careful not to use any hearsay, because technically hearsay, let's say, oh, the realtor said this, whatever, that kind of stuff can't come in. All right?
These are facts. Okay. So my name is Nicholas Spaltro. I live at 25 Dunbury Drive in the Seabreeze community.
Okay? And
So-
sir, you are Farmington model?
Farmington, yes, I'm Farmington. So in terms of, Seabreeze as a Toll Brothers project, it's the first time Toll Brothers has been in Ocean County. And I think it presents some challenges of how
Why is
Toll
that?
Brothers operates and how they price models. I think when...
Why would Ocean County be a challenge to a company like Toll Brothers?
No, I think that Ocean County is challenged by Toll Brothers. I think that Mr. Fitzpatrick is challenged by Toll Brothers. I think that the way that Toll Brothers markets the home, they have a very, what I describe as a seductive sales process, where you can go in and you could sign a contract for a house in the 300s. In fact, they advertise homes starting at the low 300s. And you may not be aware, but just this past year, Toll Brothers did a very drastic price reduction.
I am aware.
Of
I know all of their prices.
over $30,000.
As I stated to you earlier, I've been an appraiser in
Yes.
Ocean County for 32
Oh,
years, so
forgive
I'm
me.
very well aware. No, that's all right. I just want you to know that I actually do know some of the things going on.
Toll Brothers didn't lower the price because they felt like being generous to people in Forked River. They weren't selling houses.
But sir, do you also understand that in addition to them lowering some of those prices, they also altered some of those models with the lower prices and reduced the square footage?
Correct. And
Okay.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
because-
So some of that was because of the smaller models, because that specific issue is not just about the price point, but what we are finding is that as, I don't know, things have shifted since 2007, 2008, when everybody wanted very, very large things, and people have decided they want things more like a patio home, a little bit smaller, so that you see some differences. But I see that in all different projects, not just this specific.
What we're seeing is there's some recent sales, and there's also sales during the period where we're talking here.
Okay?
That I think what's happening is that buyers are kind of, they caught on to the methodology here. And what they're doing is they're buying a house near the base price, they're
Right.
taking tolls incentives and stopping there. And we do have a house that was sold during the period.
Was that part of the appraisal?
It was part of,
So you're trying to enter evidence that...
no, this has been entered, with Mr. Baldoni has the data, but for example, Mr.
Was that part of
Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Baldoni's appraisal report? Because if
Right.
it wasn't, then it's not part of the data that we were given 7 days prior, and therefore I can't allow it to be.
It's an example of what,
The
when
price
Toll
drop.
lowered the price, they lowered the price. So for example, you have a Farmington, at 62 Arbourge, that has a base price of $368,995, and they closed at $399,817. And
Correct.
the reason why they did that is because they don't want to pay taxes on the options, so they're going to do all their options post-closing. So, we've seen
See,
people
but sir, it
rip out
doesn't matter
property.
when they do their options,
Right.
because what will happen is, when there's a reassessment or when the town goes in to evaluate the property, all that stuff will still be considered. Maybe it won't be at the price point of the contract price, but you have to remember, and I understand the frustration, because what you see a lot of times with new construction, you should go into that sales office, like you said, it's very enticing. They're going to try to present to you that base model to say, hey, this is affordable. And then they're going to offer you all these wonderful things. And for many people, this is the last home they're going to be in. And they really want it to be nice if they can afford to make it that way. But this happens not, and I want you to understand, it's not just this project. And I get it that you're seeing these issues here, and we're going to take a very close look at it, but it happens at all of these types of projects. They may charge you for upgraded carpeting twice, 3 times as much as it would be if you went ahead and did that aftermarket. So it's not like this is just particular to this project. This happens a lot of times. few times people realize the complete value of upgrades they make or options that they choose to put into their homes when they're in that sales office, okay? But we'll look at all of the information, I promise you, the resale data, the new marketing data, everything, and try to come to a really, really, really good answer here to resolve, the frustration in the situation.
Well, and that's what we want fair treatment.
Exactly.
So, for example, Mr.
And
Fitzpatrick.
please understand that everyone does. But again, the problem with us is a lot of times people out there are just saying, oh, my taxes are too high, and we are constrained by just saying, these are the facts of the matter, this is what we have to deal with. But as time goes by and more data becomes available to us, then that may change the circumstances.
Well,
But go ahead, sir.
and we've seen more data.
Okay, good.
This year versus last year, but, Mr. Fitzpatrick cross-appealed, and his comps are at full D price. He's picking all new construction prices, so,
Okay.
for
But
example, he
his
picks...
sales, he hasn't entered his in yet.
I am-
So the process is you enter your stuff in first, then he will have an opportunity to enter that, and then we can cross-examine that information.
Well, but this is a systemic problem, because when you're comparing the Farmington model, again,
Okay.
I cited a Farmington that closed at $399,817.
And sir, when you have the Farmington, there are different things, are there not? Like, with some of the models, you have the Farmington Federal, the Farmington this.
Those are the elevations in the front.
Okay,
Right.
so do they make the curb appeal home, is that just more attractive? Is that what the major difference is?
A Farmington, I think it's a classic, I'm not sure exactly what the base one would just be siding.
Okay.
All right?
So what-
Versus a Manor, which might have the stone in front of it.
And which one is yours?
Manor,
Manor?
yeah.
Okay.
And
So would that be one of the
These
higher
other
end?
ones are Manors too.
Okay, and that would be one of the higher end units, the Manor?
Not really, not necessarily. I think the highest end one is Brickfront.
Brick front?
Brickfront is the highest end. But the 2 Lovelock Lane closed at $550,759.
Okay, now what is the 2 Lovelock Lane about?
The 2
Are you
Lovelock.
talking about the sales that your appraiser has used? Because that's the only sale data that was presented to me, Mr. Baldoni's appraisal. That is the only information about your property that I'm going to speak to about sales
But I'm
data.
giving you the systemic problem. The
Okay,
overview part
that's
is...
not how this works.
is
How
that-
this works is you don't get to enter into evidence
I
additional
understand.
data that's
Madam
systemic.
Commissioner, I put up...
You hired a gentleman who's an appraiser,
Yes.
who is a professional, to go ahead and present the information. So the sales that he provided are the sales that will be used. If you wanted additional sales to be entered in, they had to be entered in 7 days in advance.
We have these sales covered, okay? What I'm trying to give you an overview on is that despite last year meeting one-on-one, meeting with Mr. Fitzpatrick, having Toll Brothers executives meet with Mr. Fitzpatrick for the purpose of educating him on how they
Excuse me, are
price
you
these
trying to be
projects.
condescending to the
No,
assessors? Is that what this is about?
no. This
Okay,
is
because it's a
fact.
hard job for everybody and everybody wants this resolved, but you have an expert sitting next to you, sir, that has prepared an appraisal. And therefore, if there is something that suggests and that proves that the value should be less, then he's going to be able to prove that to us today.
And we're going to present that data. I'm just
Okay.
giving you an overview of what we're facing because...
Commissioner,
we're
But
being
you're also giving
discriminated
me an
against.
overview about a project.
I'm getting
Excuse
frustrated.
me, so am I, because I don't appreciate the way you're trying to make it sound as that people have been purposely unfair to you when they haven't.
We
What
have
we're
been
going to
discriminated
do-
against.
No one
With
is
all due
discriminating
respect,
against
we
you,
have been
sir.
discriminated against as
Excuse me,
new home buyers.
Excuse me, you were not discriminated against. You walked into the sales office, you purchased that property at the price point that it was being offered at, and you purchased all of the upgrades to it. Now, if that sales data is no longer accurate, then your appraiser will present that information, and then we'll know it. And then it will be adjusted. There's nothing unfair about that. It's
Have you ever
called
bought-
the market.
Can I ask you, have you ever bought a new home from Toll Brothers?
No, I have not.
When I signed that contract, it was for $386,995.
Okay.
That's what I signed for. At that point, I was a willing buyer.
Okay.
By the time all these options came in and the price goes over
But did you
$500,000,
choose the options, or did they force them upon you?
well, you choose the options, but you have no choice once you have
But
a deposit
did they tell
in
you
the
that it was
game.
going to go up?
Do you know that
Does that happen when you buy a car and you buy a base
Well,
model and you add
again,
stuff to it?
there's a very seductive sales process that you do.
Okay, but let me
And
ask you,
what
sir,
described
let
is
me ask you a
buy
question
a
then.
house.
Did we do anything to seduce you into buying something? Is your issue with Toll Brothers because they overcharged you for things? Or is your issue with the market and the facts of what the sales prices are? So if the sales prices in your neighborhood reflect a lower value, then that's the case, then it's a lower value,
This is, I'm obviously not going anywhere here.
okay? Would like your appraiser to go ahead and give his testimony.
The point is, and the other data is that we look at, when you want to talk, because I know he mentions, Mr. Fitzpatrick mentions dollars per square foot, the assessed values of Seabreeze, the median assessed value during this period.
We do not, I was very specific in my opening comments, we don't look at assessed values, we look at sales data.
Well, this is sales data, I mean, this is
No, it's
the
not. It's an
price per
assessment.
square foot. We compare it to other communities. I'll let Mr. Barlow present the data.
Thank you very
He's
much.
the expert, he can present the data. I'm trying to give you an overview of our frustration that we feel like we're being unfairly discriminated against as new home buyers.
And so the
point is that
facts will tell the truth here.
Well, once you get into the toll sales process and you get to the point where you don't want to buy the house, you have to buy the house because they'll keep your deposit.
So
Toll
is there a
Brothers as
class
an
action suit,
organization,
sir, that you've
I don't
started
know,
against the Toll Brothers?
2 years ago was the latest report, retained $123 million in deposits nationwide from people who backed out of sales. It's a very onerous, you cannot back out. Are you a willing buyer by the time you get to that point? I don't know.
Okay. All right, Mr. Baldoni?
Yes.
Sir, you prepared an appraisal report. And sir, I know that you are a state certified general appraiser. I know that you are qualified to go ahead and give testimony. I did have a question about your report as I was going through it. I did not see the scope of work addressed, and I was wondering where that was in the body of the report.
It's not in the report.
Okay, and you are aware that the scope of work is supposed to be in the body of your report?
It's an item that could be in, yes. This was a summary
It could be in,
report.
or USPAP says
In
it
this
needs to
particular
be in?
instance, it needs to be in under the USPAP requirements, but I was...
So you don't follow USPAP, is that what you're saying,
I
sir?
do all the time.
Okay,
Absolutely. I
but in
didn't
this
put-
case, you didn't enter in any of scope of work?
I didn't put the scope
Okay.
of work in yet.
All right, so then for this particular property, 25 Dunbury Drive, I'm looking, sir, at the page with the homeowners association fee. That was not filled in. Do you know what the fee is monthly for the homeowners association?
They range, they're about the $200 range.
200?
$226,000. $226,000. It doesn't range, everybody pays the same.
And sir, can you,
Excuse me, just to answer that question.
right,
On the MLS, depending on, I guess, the year in question for the sale that I was using, they
Okay.
it would be a
That would
different number.
differ, okay. And Mr. Baldoni, would you give me some information, sir, about the amenities that are available in this project?
In this particular home?
Yeah. No, for the project,
Oh,
the
I'm
project
sorry,
amenities.
the project, yes. Well, they have a clubhouse,
Mhm.
that's cool.
Because you did give, it says market area description characteristics, you just identified Seabreeze was an age-restricted community, but I really don't have any other information about it. So is this, would you consider this a high-end development or average for the
Well, I'm
community?
not sure I can rate the...
Do they
adult
have a
communities.
gated, do they have security gate?
They do, but it's not manned.
Not manned, okay.
It will never be manned according to the office. They have tennis courts.
Okay.
All the amenities that are associated with the clubhouse. Clubhouse isn't as large as I would expect it to be, but nonetheless, it is.
They listed it as like 13,000 square feet, is
13,000
that
square
not
feet.
correct?
That's correct.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it in a square, but
Oh,
the way
okay.
it's laid out and the dining area, where the dining room or whatever you want to call that gathering area, seems like it's a little tight to me.
Okay.
And the job's not built out yet, so once they get the next phase, they might have to be adding more to the site. I'm not sure. So, I'm sorry, I think I need to answer your question about the amenities.
Some
There's
information
walking
about the
trails,
project.
There's walking trails that, people can obviously access.
But this is not one of the communities that has a golf course, is it?
There's no golf course.
Like Oceanair has a 38,000 square foot clubhouse and golf course.
Okay. And in the neighborhood market analysis section where it has the price range for the neighborhood,
Yes.
I don't see that. And so what do you think that would be, the low and the high end?
Well, the low, what I've seen in the smaller one-story homes or the smaller models, I think is in the 330, 340 range
Okay.
at most. And at the higher end, about 400 with Farmingtons and so forth, at most.
At 400, so it's only 330 to 400, only 6,000. I thought there were some more expensive units
Well, from Toll Brothers, there is, yes, when I talk about on the resales.
on the resales.
That's
So,
the
but
question.
I said to you, I didn't say to you, I didn't ask you what the resales were. I said the range in the neighborhood, it's the neighborhood information. So what is the high end?
Well, can I qualify or ask a question of clarification? Are you asking me about the highest price ever paid in?
Well, what I'm
Seabreeze?
asking you is you identified your neighborhood as Seabreeze and nothing else in that. So what, I'm trying to get an idea of what the range of value is, which is a specific question on your form that says price, low, high, predominant. So it was never filled in, it's an A, as though it wasn't available. You
Okay.
said on the low end, you're at 330. On the high end, so I kind of know what the ceiling is. What, generally, is it in the 5s? Is it 6? Is it 4, 50? What about?
Well, as I said before, I think it's in the 4s.
In the 4s? Okay.
Well, we have the data. The average selling price of a new home during the period is $414,312.
A new
Okay.
Toll Brothers.
A new Toll Brothers home.
delivered home.
Okay.
The average selling price of a resale during this period was $362,843.
Okay, so now we go down to your site analysis. I have no description. Is this property, is this on a corner lot? Is this something that's on an interior lot? I know that within these communities, sometimes things that are closer to the amenities are more valuable, sometimes some back up to buffers. Anything about this property that stands out or anything I should know?
Yes, it backs up to a pond with a fountain and...
So this property has a view of the pond?
The view of the pond, which is offset by the walking trail that passes by.
This is the one that has the walking trail in very close proximity to it?
Absolutely, yes.
So does that affect your privacy, the walking trail?
Yeah, there, people walk.
Or in some ways, is that kind of nice that you can kind of leave your house, go on the trail and walk? Or is it like right there and really
It's a public,
privacy?
it's a public walkway that affects the privacy. It's not like having the woods behind.
Okay?
Very close to the back area.
And is that somewhat offset by the view of the pond and the location and proximity to the pond?
Yeah, it's a view of the pond.
Highest and best use analysis, you say is the present, but I have no information about the highest and best use analysis. And now we go to the design of the property. On the following page, we have a Linwood. The design is Linwood. I thought we were dealing with a Farmington. Is this a Farmington or a Linwood?
It's a farming.
Okay.
Sure.
It was identified as a Linwood.
I have a Farmington on my form.
Okay, hopefully the square footage is correct. I know that it seems here on interior elements, it says number 1 next to fireplace, but the box isn't checked off. This property has a fireplace or it does not?
It does.
Okay. And then we have, for square footage, I have 2,535. The assessor's records are 2,628. Where did you get your dimensions from? I'm sorry?
3,100 is what it is.
I'm sorry, this is for, oh, I apologize. I looked at the wrong column. Okay, so this one is 31? Okay.
Well, that's another discrepancy because according to Toll Brothers, I have 2,823 square feet.
So where do you think that difference came in? Do you have a loft that maybe is being
They
calculated differently?
included it in the loft.
They included that?
I think on the property card, it's showing attic space, and the attic is unfinished.
Okay.
It's over in the garage, but it's...
So you have, the tax assessor has 3154, and sir, you said it should be how much? 28?
Toll tells me it's 2,823.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The assessor under the private government, it's 3106.
3106?
Right.
Correct.
I have 3154.
Okay, that's
I'm
within
higher.
100 square feet,
Yeah,
that's
but
within the
I just
margin of
meant-
error, that's no big deal.
But there was a number that I was talking about that the assessor had, I don't think that's what...
No, I I was looking at a different sheet when I said that
Oh,
particular
I
number.
understand, okay.
So we'll go,
I just note that in that the appraiser and the assessor's numbers are very close. My suspicion would be that Toll Brothers is listing interior measurements as opposed to the exterior measurements that are required by the assessing and appraising.
I also noticed on some of their information, sometimes they only list the downstairs area, and then, what people do with the loft, and they go ahead and they add that in as a separate number. So it could be that as well, but we'll confirm and make sure.
That includes
Yeah,
both.
and we'll go ahead and make sure, because the the appraiser measured and his number, again, is within a very close proximity to what the assessor has. Okay, so,
May I ask a question?
Sure.
From the attorney. The number on the tax record card or vital gov, that's an exterior layer, not?
Correct.
Yes, okay, you said, and that's where I got my number from.
no, Mr. Baldoni, he said that Toll Brothers sometimes uses interior measurements. The gentleman here said that Toll Brothers told him
Yeah.
2,800, and that's what he was suggesting, that perhaps they gave him an interior number.
Okay, and just for the record, I used the as-built survey that was provided to each homeowner at closure for the, at least the footprint of the property, because they don't show the section.
Right.
So that's where I got a lot of my measurements, plus I put a wheel on two sides to make sure that we were in
Right,
harmony.
right.
And I also measured the interior with a laser.
Okay, and your measurements are very, very close to what the assessor's
I think so.
measurements
There's some
are.
errors that are going to pop up later. That's
Correct.
my fault, but the measurements were made nonetheless.
Yeah, we agree with you. We were just making the comment that the numbers from Toll Brothers would indicate 2,800 square feet, but that wouldn't be accurate with regard to the manner in which you or the assessor would be measuring.
And Mr. Baldoni, this unit, does this have a basement or is this on slab?
It's on slab.
Okay. And then you noted in your report that there was external obsolescence due to market conditions. Sir, would you please explain that?
Well, my point there is that the market isn't, as Mr. Spaltro was bringing up a little bit earlier, the market is not buying into the base price in the 380s or higher, which then get escalated up higher once the people put all the things into it that they would like. So my point there is that this, well, in fact...
But external obsolescence, isn't that something that can't be fixed?
External obsolescence, sure, no, it can't be fixed.
Okay, so is this something that's going to stay with the property forever, or is this something that will work itself out as the market corrects itself? Is this really external obsolescence?
It's external, yes, because first of all, Toll Brothers did a survey back in the late fall, research to see why they weren't getting foot traffic, okay? And they weren't because they were starting at the 380 number. By the time they did everything, as Mr. Spaltro pointed out, they were in the high fours. They realized that they were getting outside the market area for Lacey Township, or maybe for that particular area, but in any event, they were getting too high.
Okay.
So they came up with this $33,000 reduction on the base price. What you said before is correct.
They did make their model smaller
They may have
to
done
adjust
that,
for
they may
that.
have taken out all the options that they were putting in originally, asking
Oh, as
everybody to
and
buy
part of the
into
bait,
it.
okay.
Yeah, see, now you had to buy at that number. Now, you can pick and choose what you want to put back in.
Okay.
So it brought in traffic, but essentially what it did is it put a $37,000, or $35,700 or $37,000, I have to look at my number again.
Okay.
It knocked everybody's value down
Okay.
easily, because who can anybody sell to? First of all,
When the competition with the new construction is being, okay.
that's a problem, and of course, the original numbers that are out there are still not, for what everyone in the room here paid just about for, is
Right.
not going to be recovered probably for a long time.
And
The
unfortunately,
real
we're
is that-
seeing this in most of the high-end retirement communities. So it's a problem that we're going to have to
Yeah,
address.
so the answer is that it's not solved next year, the year after, it might be a while down the road.
Okay, and then for the design, style, condition, so forth, it just says NA. Is this property in, I mean, I don't know how extensive the upgrades were. Was this an upgraded property? Does it have features that wouldn't be customary for this model?
No, they're all offered features by Toll. I mean, you can add an extension to the master bedroom with a tow in general.
Do you know, was this property
This has
extended?
an extension of master bedroom, yes. Not their, what do they call it, premier one?
Not the, yeah, one of the comparable that Mr. Fitzpatrick had, you have a Grand Master,
Oh,
which is
grand,
an
yeah.
8-foot extension.
Okay, so what is
That
your
adds
extension?
13,500.
How far is your,
4
your,
feet.
4 feet? And that's in your master, correct?
Yes, correct.
And other than that, any other big differences?
The fireplace is optional, you know.
And that you have,
You know,
correct?
there's $30,000 in landscape options, which include shrubs and bushes and, you know, patio and whatnot.
Okay.
You know, gas line to the gas grill.
And you, sir, you chose to have the fireplace?
Yes,
And is that a gas fireplace?
yes.
Okay. Now let's take a look at some sales data. Okay, subject property 25 Dunbury. You chose to use for your comparable sales 61 Arbourge and 76 Arbourge in the community. And then the other sales are in competing communities, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at 61 Arbourge. Is that a similar model? Is that the Farmington as well? Because it just says good, it doesn't say whether it's
Yes, it's a
Farmington.
Stockton,
That's a Stockton?
yes.
And that has only 2,657 square feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And let's see. Bedroom, 3 bath, as opposed to the subject, which has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. Subject has the loft. That one does as well, it appears. And the subject has an open porch and a patio. This one is a patio, but it has a sunroom. Did you not think that that required an adjustment?
Sunroom,
Correct.
well, it is, it doesn't need adjustment, it's in the square footage.
Sunroom is in the square footage.
Yes.
So the house is even smaller than 2,657.
Well, that might be true.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the sunroom exact dimensions.
Okay, that's good to know. And the
But-
sales price on that, sir, was $385, is that correct?
Yes,
And
but,
the sales date was August 27th of 2015, correct?
yes.
All right.
One thing about the sunroom though, it's not like in the outside the house, it's built in.
Inside? Okay.
With the porch.
Okay.
Basically, the porch has walls.
76 Arbourge, which was your comparable to sale,
Yes.
with a sales price of $380,000. Can you tell me, sir, what sales date you have for that property?
Sale number 2.
Yes.
Sale date,
Mhm.
that should be 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I-
You have 11/12/2014, that property sold August 11th of 2015. Is that correct? Okay, so that date is incorrect.
Yes, that date's incorrect.
And then we have that property, was that, what model was that one? Farmington?
It's a Farmington, yes.
And that has 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That one is 3,000, just a little over 3,000 square feet, 3,036, and you've adjusted for that. And then let's see, pretty much everything else would be the same, except that we had the open porch on the subject, which is really not, I mean, no adjustment, you felt no adjustment was needed for that, because it's, what, a small porch?
Well, I'm sorry, say it again. I did not
The
make an
subject
adjustment
property
for
had the
sunroom.
open porch, that number 2,
I
as a
see.
loft and a patio, no porch, you felt that that wasn't necessary,
Not
any
necessary.
adjustment?
Yes, but again, in my opinion, that square footage is, these sunrooms are sometimes...
This is not a sunroom, sir, comp number 2. The subject it said other area, but you put loft, patio, open porch.
I'm sorry.
And that one, it just says loft and patio. So for the open porch, did you not feel that needed an adjustment?
That's true. Most of them have...
Just a small
little
entryway?
porch, yes, and most have patios.
Okay.
That's why they make the adjustments.
All right, so let's look at your next sale, which you went out into Barnegat, I believe it is, to go to a competing neighborhood. and that property is 55 Whitewater Drive.
Yes.
Would you please tell me what day that sold?
I have a sale date here for 55 Whitewater and on, I don't have that date. I have,
The date should be
Yes.
10/8 of 2014, correct? And you have 9/10 of 2015, correct? So that sale date is incorrect also?
that date is, yes.
Okay. All right, so, sir, you have that house is 3 years old. Can you tell me what year that house was built?
Limited information where this house was built. Have the MLS sheet on this one.
That property was built in 2005, yet you represented that it was 3 years old. It is in the Mirage, and the other sales that you used in the Mirage, you stated were 15 years old. The sales in the Mirage are, let's say, 10 to 15 years old. So that was an error. That is not a 3-year-old home. So an adjustment should have been made because that is an 11-year-old, or if you want to go to 2015, that's a 10-year-old sale,
Okay, so.
a 10-year-old property.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for where I, okay, I'll buy into the fact that's a 10-year-old. I trust your record better than what I got right at the moment for that. I could not confirm that sale to the degree I wanted to. It did not go through multiple listings.
It was on the Ocean County Tax Board website, and it was on vital.gov. So some of the sources that you cited that you go to, it was there in all of those instances.
But I wanted to talk to, verbal confirmation here.
Oh, okay.
Owner and so forth, couldn't reach the people.
But because you couldn't talk to the owner, you put the wrong sale date and the wrong date that it was constructed? Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm suggesting that I didn't have much information to make it as valid. It is a valid sale. I wanted to make it
Okay.
a very verified sale.
Okay. So now you did address the fact that this particular property has that walking path. And my question to you had been in the report, was that negative or positive? But you addressed that, you said that even though that's a little negative because it hampers your privacy, there is the pond there, so a little bit more negative than positive, but there is a pond in the view, which is kind of nice as well.
Well, yes, I think the pond view is interesting, but I think it really is offset. And there's a gazebo not too far where there's congregations. And they're all right, they're less than the distance from the DDU.
Okay. So this property would be impacted a little bit more than most by a lack of privacy. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Sir, you included some additional sales out of the market in the Mirage, 2 others in the Mirage project. And then you had the one at 24 Passage Lane, which was in Heritage Point. And that one also was in Barnegat Township, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just look here. We have some sales for those. Again, I just want to verify because the sketch and the information that I have in this report says Linwood, but this is definitely a Farmingdale that I'm dealing with, correct?
Yes.
I just want to make sure, because I don't want to have the wrong information. Okay.
But, excuse me, I have what you should have, it says farming.
This is the report that I have, this is what was delivered to us, and I have Linwood.
This is Farmingdale.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which one is this one? Oh, this is Farmingdale.
Farmington.
Okay, I picked up the wrong one again, I apologize. It was just noted in the report, with the design was different, that's where I saw
I
it.
just want to
Okay.
make sure you had the right information.
And Farmington Manor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Perfect.
I
Okay.
want to also point out that Mirage, even though Hovnanian had stopped building it in 2007, has a much bigger clubhouse, 23,000 square foot clubhouse with an indoor-outdoor pool and a catering kitchen.
And do you guys have the indoor pool as well, or just the
Now
outdoor?
we just have an outdoor pool.
Okay,
No kitchen.
just the
No
outdoor.
kitchen. No kitchen. No catering kitchen.
Okay,
And
No catering kitchen.
And Heritage.
So you're able to rent the other facility to have parties
No.
and so forth, or?
We actually have to go to a hotel at Christmas parties.
Okay. But the other community, that's what you're saying, Mirage, is
Yeah,
able to
they have
use
a
their
catering, yes,
house, their clubhouse to have parties and so forth? Because they have the, okay,
Essentially, the clubhouse is a little undersized.
okay.
Maybe not a little.
But for the size of the community?
And especially once it's totally built.
Okay. Sir, anything else that you'd like to add?
I think that the Heritage Point has 2 clubhouses.
Okay.
And they have indoor-outdoor pool. They have 2 clubhouses that are about 22,000 square feet.
I don't see any adjustments in the report, though, for these amenities. I do see adjustments for location, because yours, I guess, is considered better? Is that that's a positive? No, that's a positive, yeah. So
Yes.
yours is considered better. And I do see that adjustments were made for the design and appeal of your particular model, but I don't see any adjustments for the difference in amenities. So were you thinking, Mr. Baldoni, that they were comparable?
I, from the beginning, thought and still think that they're not large enough, but I have no proof of that as to what the market should be.
Right.
All I know, people say that it's kind of maxed out.
Okay.
A lot of people show up.
All right, municipality, do you have any questions of this appraiser?
I do.
Okay.
Mr. Baldoni, for each of your comparables, you made adjustments for square footage, did you not?
Yes,
And what is the price per square foot you made that adjustment on?
$40 a square foot.
Can you tell me how you derived that number?
Well, the general number that was used when we measured the actual square footage of the house and the cost of the house without the land is anywhere between $40 and $50.
So you extracted the value from the sales?
I didn't extract the value.
Do you have any quantitative data supporting the $40 to $50 square foot adjustment?
Well, you have the beginning point of what the cost new would be of the dwelling, and we factor out from that the actual contribution of each square foot, each additional square foot or less is not the full amount. So I think it's generally understood as about half or about $40 or $40 to be of the number. So
So you're saying half of the cost new?
well, yeah.
When you said half, that's what I was...
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. Half the cost of the structure, not the land component part.
Understood. So it would be your testimony that the cost of construction would be approximately $80 a square foot then?
Could be 100, but there are other things in the construction costs. I'd say the $40 is a realistic number that we're getting at.
I also noticed that for comparable number 3, you made a negative $15,000 adjustment for a half bath. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me how you derived that number?
Well, that I worked off of the cost of a full bath, probably around $25,000 to $30,000 to the degree that you see in this complex, so I used the half bath at 15. And that's a cost.
Quite a bath.
Pardon me?
That's quite a bath for $30,000 bath. And again,
Well, some of the ones
you
you
used
see.
for your adjustment for your square footage, you recognize the fact that it's not just square footage, but utility, whatever. So once you have 3 bathrooms, the other half bath, what is that additional value? Is it 15, that's your belief, is that it's $15,000?
To answer,
With regard to the sunroom that was referenced on 61 Arbourge Drive,
yes.
can you tell me, is that a 3-season room, a 4-season room?
That is a sunroom. It's an extension of the house. It's not screened-in porch or something like that.
I'm sorry?
It's not a screened-in porch.
I understand. I mean, is it heated?
Yes, I believe it is.
Short answer is it's a room. It's a 4-season room.
Excuse me, he's speaking to your appraiser.
Yes, okay.
You're comparable at 76 Arbourge Drive. Can you tell me how many units that's on the market?
76 Arbourge. I think it was about I saw two numbers on that, but I think it was 18 days or something like that.
Okay, and you reported this 12 days on the market, is that
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
And you find that's a typical marketing period?
Property's priced right, exposed, they had open houses, so.
Your marketing data for typical marketing time was over 6 months. Your typical marketing time was over 6 months. So if you see a sale that sells in 12 days, what does that suggest to you?
It was priced
That
right.
might have been priced
Yeah.
very, very well, so that it would
Well-
sell quick,
That's not true. I talked to the broker involved,
okay?
and he said.
But you talked to the broker on this sale, and yet you didn't have the accurate sale date on that one?
Well, that probably was a typo on my part
Okay.
or something, but we did get the right information. I spoke to the broker, and we had a long conversation about everything, including this property.
Okay.
And he said they priced it for a sale rather than wait 6 months. They were buying another house as well in the complex they're going to remain in Seabreeze. So they just wanted to sell it. If it was not a fire sale, it was they could have priced it at $400,000 and waited 6 months and gotten the same number. Then you had all that loss in dollars anyway.
But
So-
if you're saying the market is a 6-month marketing time, whenever you have a sale that's very far below or very far beyond, shouldn't there be some kind of adjustment to reconcile that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
May I make a point here?
Sure.
You're bringing up an interesting point. For example, there are 16 listings,
Uh-huh.
maybe more, every time you check, it's higher and higher. In the Seabreeze complex that they've been on so long, I don't even know why they're on, 341 days, 311 days, 231.
But then that further supports the fact that if there's an extended marketing time in this development, that if you see a sale that sells in 12 days, you have to say to yourself, did this sell below what some of the other houses are selling for? And was there an incentive to get it to sell below?
No.
They're going for.
Well, that wasn't what the information I received, number one. Number two, if you're on the market for a year...
Excuse me, I just want to say something. When I'm dealing with an expert, and there are certain things in this field of appraisal that when an appraiser prepares an appraisal report have to be addressed in a certain way, that's what I am asking him to do. Now, again, I fully understand that a lot of you are very frustrated, and believe me, we want to get to a solution. But I need to address a professionally prepared appraisal based on appraisal methodology, not just based on what people in the audience think. So that's how this has to be done.
So, may I continue with
Go ahead.
these listings that are on the market
Okay?
with substantial price reductions, and they're still not getting
But
that.
you have a range on the market of 325 to 449, and the 449 sale is a resale. So you have sales on the market in the mid-400s that are resales, is that correct? That are actively listed?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Not a lot. One maybe, or something. So my
No,
point
I have
was,
several of them actually,
Okay.
at that price point.
right.
Probably about 6,
from
5 or 6.
From this complex?
Actively listed.
From this complex?
Absolutely. Let's see, we have 67 Arbourge at 429.9, 16 Holbrook at 439.9, 9 Iverness at 449,
Right, and Holbrook has been on the market 226 days.
okay? But you said to me that the average market time was over 6 months. So that is the market, correct? That's what you explained to me to be the market.
All right, but it still hasn't sold. These
Okay.
are listings.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, I'm just trying to suggest that.
And sale number 1, which was also in the neighborhood, did sell for $385 in 212 days, which would have been more like the market you showed in the beginning of your report.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to get at, and that's what I think the market is, when all said and done.
Okay,
Now-
but that too, the 76 Arbourge is the larger model Farmington at over 3,000 square feet, and it's sold for a price similar, or actually slightly below, the Stockton, which is a considerably smaller model, correct?
Stockton is a small model.
That's the one that you presented as comparable number
Yeah.
1, 61. Okay?
Yes.
So they're very comparable in their lot sizes, they're very comparable in their ages, they're very comparable, they have the same room counts from what you showed. They have everything else the same, the only thing different is the square footage. And in one, I have only 2,600 square feet, and the other one I have over 3,000. Yet, comp number 2 sold for $5,000 less, but you don't feel that there's anything that was affecting that sale, or that doesn't seem like it needs to be reconciled to you at all?
I didn't believe so.
Okay.
Mr. Baldoni, can you
Yes.
tell me what did the subject property sell for and when?
Subject property sold in June 24, 2014 for $543,329.
Okay, and that included upgrades, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware as to what the base contract price was before upgrades?
No, I think this was also mentioned before,
386.
All right, 386.9.
So approximately, I know this is slightly off, approximately $160,000 in upgrades?
156,000. Of which about 30,000 will landscape alone.
So that means that you're currently assessed for just 82% of what you just paid for the house in 2014, is that correct?
That's what works out there.
Okay.
Okay, and Mr. Baldoni, the only farming deal that you have here is comparable number 2. I'm sorry, Farmington. The only Farmington you have is comparable number 2, is that correct?
Yes.
Which sold, resold in, I don't know, we had the wrong date, August of 15, I believe it was.
Correct.
For $380,000, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware as to what upgrades that home had in it, up and above the original base contract from its construction?
Well, I don't think I have it here, but there was a spreadsheet created, not by me, that indicated what all the upgrades were. I don't know that. Okay.
Are you aware as to what that home originally sold for new?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about that sale.
Yeah, the sale at 76 Arbourge Drive.
I don't have that in front of me, but it's in the file.
414,
I believe that's an appeal process.
414,
414,
190.
190. This was from Tolbert.
Correct. 2011.
So that would indicate that it doesn't have the extent of upgrades that this property has, correct?
No, this is Walter's
I
property.
mean, that's almost $100,000 more, so he would have more upgrades, but then you make no adjustment for condition or upgrades or anything.
Mr. Walter's house is 3154.
Okay?
From 76 Arbourge is 3,036.
I'm not talking about the square footage, I'm talking about the upgrades.
No, I made those.
Because their houses are similar, and they're similar square footage, yet his was purchased for like $100,000 more, but you took none of that into consideration, that he has more upgrades in his unit, is the question.
I understand, but again, part of that upgrade was a lot of shrubbery and so forth.
Okay, but there's nothing different then, there was no reason to go ahead and make any kind of adjustment for
Well-
$100,000 worth of upgrades?
I don't think so. I'm not working off of the original sale price of that.
So then the surfaces in that second comp, or the quality of construction, wouldn't that be maybe different? If he had surfaces and different components in his home that weren't in the other home?
Well, I think we're moving into an area of what was the cost of construction and how that.
Well, those types of issues in residential appraisal methodology are important, because the quality and what one house has that one doesn't, those have to be addressed.
I understand, but what I'm suggesting or trying to talk about is that
Okay.
the market has a limit. And these folks put everything into what they wanted to.
Right.
All the things you said earlier, last home, this and that, maybe budget some money for their sale,
Right.
all those things.
But
That's
sir,
great.
if you have a
But my-
spreadsheet and you're showing 2 exact models, and you're showing on your spreadsheet, you said you had gotten from Toll Brothers to see what each unit got, and one unit got so many things that it equaled up to 100,000, do you think that the market would not recognize any of that if someone goes to buy a unit with $100,000 worth of upgrades, as
It's
opposed to
obvious.
one that doesn't? There would be nothing? Is that what you're saying? There being no difference?
Well,
Commissioner,
that's a broad,
if I could continue, I think I'm hitting my point. So there was an indication that the original sales price on 76 Arbourge was $414,190.
correct.
190. Can you tell me then, Mr. Baldoni, what percentage of that was the resale in 2015?
Didn't we just hear that number a minute ago? No, it was just ballpark. All right, so you want me to tell you what
The percentages.
So it sold 414.
190 in 2010. Or I think
2012.
2011, thank you, thank you.
Can I have something? So, we did some research on this. When this house was built, there was a time when Toll Brothers
Sorry,
was...
but just may I interrupt you 1 second? I don't know, your house or the sale? Which one?
The
was
sale,
yours?
the
Okay.
76 Arbourge. When it was, there was a time when, before the clubhouse was finished, that they were offering incentives to get people in. And my understanding is this house was incentivized. We did an exercise, we priced...
but then that, so then, okay, go ahead.
But we did an exercise, we looked at, and in their house, the 76 Arbourge is a gorgeous home. He had
Okay.
more options, like he has iron railings, I just have
But
to
you
look.
feel that one was privileged to those incentives that were being given at that time?
Yes, we-
Where, by the time you bought yours in, was it 2014?
2014.
Those incentives
Well,
were no
we did
longer?
was we went through an exercise of the options they had, and it was over 500,000.
Okay.
Excuse me, just, I'm sorry.
Did they, when they did their incentives, did they give like a dollar amount, do you recall? Was it a percentage or?
Some of the folks here that bought back then would probably know,
All right,
would know the answer to that.
okay. Mr. Baldoni?
92? Okay, so the,
So it's an 8% difference.
so for 76 Arbourge Drive, the resale was for 92% of the original new home purchase price
I'll double check that.
between from 2011 to 2015, so over that 4-year period, it was a 92%, so an 8% drop. And can you tell me, do you know what the original sales price was for 61 Arbourge Drive? If you don't off the top of your head, Commissioner, I know this is slightly out of turn, but I believe the assessor is aware as to the original sales price on 61 Arbourge.
Okay?
Yeah,
What was
I don't
that?
see, I don't have.
Right around 377.
377?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a 377 original sales price for 61 Arbourge Drive, and your sale listed here is August of 2015 at 385, is that correct?
Yes,
So that would indicate an appreciation in value. Correct?
yes.
And yet your conclusion of value on this home is $400,000, is that correct?
Yes.
And it was sold for $543,000 in June of 2014, only 3 to 4 months prior to the beginning of the valuation period.
Well, the math is correct, and the time frame is correct. That's not a market question, that's the mathematical.
So you don't feel that the amount paid for a subject property has any value in terms of determining its market value?
Well, of course, it seems like it should, but the problem was, and is that the prices that were paid then were too high, and Toll Brothers has now recognized that themselves by lowering the base price, and the market sales that are occurring are showing that you can't get all of that back that you put into it.
Except that the market sales that you provided are showing that there was an uptick in sale number 1 of 2% and a downtick of 8% on a sale that was only marketed for 12 days. So that might be kind of, if it had been marketed a little bit longer, it would have been, so your sales don't really don't support that they're selling for less than they sold for originally.
And Mr. Baldoni, you indicated that there's been a drop in the base price, that it's showing that these homes are not selling for the same amount anymore, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware in 2015 of any sales of farming things for in excess of $500,000?
Am I aware? No. I mean, I can't answer the question. It could have been, but I don't know.
So you're not aware as to whether there were any sales of Farmington models, the same model as the subject, within the relevant time frame for in excess of $500,000, and you don't have that information?
Did you research sales in that
I
community
did.
for 2015?
Yes, I did. If there is one, I don't recall it, and I would have certainly considered it.
You're specifically saying new home sales from Toll Brothers.
I'm asking for home
But
sales
if there are new
generally.
sales in that neighborhood and sales of resales, everything should be examined because that's part of that market. When you identified the market, you said the market was Seabreeze. So everything in the market should be evaluated and adjusted.
Yes, I eliminated any sale that Toll Brothers sold, because that is not a market sale.
But these resales are competing against them, are they not? So how does that not affect the market? Just like in neighborhoods when you have an abundance of short sales, don't they start to affect that neighborhood? So you have to look at it all, not just pick what you want.
No, I'm not picking what I wanted. What I'm saying is, the sales from Toll Brothers is not a market transaction.
It's not a market
That's
transaction.
correct. It's not a market transaction, because here's one very good indication. Every sale from Toll Brothers, from day one to now, ends in an odd number. 995, I'm sorry, the actual sale, it ends in odd numbers, 732, 549. That's a cost. That's all that is. That's not a market number. That's a cost that Toll Brothers.
Did you at least look
has
at the
to-
base prices of those units before they got the upgrades to them to determine what the new base price was for the Farmington model? Because these people, when they go to sell, they have to compete against that until this project is built out.
The base prices for the Farmington,
But you went to sales miles away in projects in different towns with different school
because they
systems
were market
that were old.
transactions. They were market
But you didn't
transactions.
think that some of the properties within this neighborhood that they have to compete against didn't need to be reconciled?
Let me understand.
If a buyer's coming into this market, they have a choice to buy a resale if they want to be in their development or a new construction.
Right,
Is
and
that
they're not going
correct?
to buy the new construction.
They're not going to buy
No,
that.
unless they just want to buy something brand new, but that is not.
I don't
Bear with
understand
me,
that.
just bear
That's
with
like I'm going to a car dealership. I'm not going to buy the new car. I'm definitely, without a doubt that I'm going to walk on that car lot and buy the used car. If I'm walking into a project and I want to be in this project in this town, and I say I have a choice. I have a choice of new construction and I can pick all the colors I want and all the amenities and upgrades I want and have it customized to me, or I can pick an existing home. You're telling me that that's not part of their competition?
Well, Toll Brothers competes against Mirage, Heritage Point.
But these are within your community, your specific community.
If all of us in this room were to buy today in Seabreeze, we'd be better off buying a resale.
Whether you would be or not, there are still buyers who are going to be buying new construction. It's part of that market.
I agree with you there. They're buying new construction, but the money they're putting into it is not going to get returned in a long, long time, because it far exceeds the market value within the entire area.
Mr. Baldoni, what's your factual basis for that?
Well,
You provided a single.
Sale number one sold for 2% more.
You've raised a single Farmingdale resale, one Farmingdale resale. Can you tell me how much in upgrades were put into that Farmingdale resale at 76 Arbourge Drive?
I don't know that number.
But we do know that $156,000 in upgrades were put into the subject sale. Would those $156,000 in upgrades have an impact on the market value of the subject house?
It may, but
It
obviously it's not showing that.
Apparently not, because nobody's getting the money for that.
Here's what I'm trying to say to you.
See, but let me just explain something to you. Just listen to what I'm going to say. I understand your frustration, but look at what we're presented with as facts. That's what I'm asking you to please consider. So I have a fact in front of me that says 61 Arbourge sold originally from the builder at a price point of $377. What did it sell for when they sold it again? $385. It didn't sell for less, it sold for more. Maybe not a lot more, but it didn't sell for less. Then I have sale number 2, which originally sold for $414. When that sold, I would be led to believe by the information that I'm being given that, oh my God, they can't sell and they're selling for substantially less, but it sold in 12 days. 12 days, that's not even 2 weeks. In 12 days for only 8% less than it was originally purchased for. So do you understand my dilemma? The facts
Right.
are contradicting.
This is why I said in the very beginning, this is a challenge.
Right.
This place, Toll Brothers, this community is a challenge to these gentlemen. It's a challenge to the county. I'll give you a real life example. 19 Gladstone. Toll Brothers decided to build a quick delivery home. That was a bomb. The quick delivery home at 19 Gladstone sat on the market for 2 years empty. The
Is
base,
this one of the comparables that's been entered?
but
No, I don't think
Has this
so.
been provided 7 days prior to today?
No, it has not.
I'm going to object because it's not evidentiary as to this hearing or as to the value of this home.
Okay.
it goes to where things, even Toll Brothers is suffering.
But
They
then what I'm
lowered the
saying
price
to you
of-
is this, when you come before me,
I know.
present that and put that in the information. There could have been graphs, there could have been all that information to lead me to that conclusion. Instead, what I got was sales with inaccurate closing dates, inaccurate ages, and then I got a sale that shows me in sale number 1 that it sold for more than it originally sold for when the resale happened, and then another one that sold only 8% less. That's what I got.
Commissioner, we'd also note that every other sale in the appraisal isn't even in the subject township.
Correct.
Well, there's a market competition, why does it have to be in the township? Lacey Township, according to the New Jersey Realtors.
Did you make any neighborhood adjustment, any market adjustment for location between those? You made a $10,000 adjustment for Mirage, but those are homes in development that's over 10 years old. Most of the
That was
homes
a
we used are
location.
15 years
There's
old.
another 10,000 for design and appeal because the homes are older. That's a $20,000 adjustment that I made to the Mirage and to Heritage Front. And quality of construction.
Mr. Baldoni, then I have one more question for you. At the end of your report where your signature is, you are an MAI appraiser, a member of the Appraisal Institute. It asks you, sir, as of the date of this report, and you have not checked off, have you or have you not completed continuing education?
I have, yes.
Okay. All right. I think I have a good picture here. In summation, sir, well, I'm sorry, did you have any other?
Well, we have our cross appeal, we would
Oh,
like to present on.
Okay, you want to go ahead and present it?
I'd just like to point out, with regards to the 2 sales, and I'll say this now so that I don't have to say this every single time, with the two comps, the one at 61 Arbourge Drive, the one that sold for $385, that house was actually under contract at $400. The people who bought the house lost their buyer, so that they got out of it. Then they came back. While they came back, the homeowners had moved to Florida, moved on, had a price reduction. So there was a contract on this house for $400,000. Unfortunately, it had fallen through on that one. And the other sale was...
Commissioner, I'm just going to ask you very
It's not a
hard.
sale, but when you look at the market, you look at everything. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, everything. So if there is a contract, if something's under contract, the minute that your appraiser introduced this sale, then I have a right to know everything that happened to it. I didn't bring this sale. He didn't bring this sale. Your appraiser brought this sale. So I want to know everything that happened. Now, your appraiser said that he spoke to the realtor on these sales or confirmed things. Was there another contract on the sale? What was the circumstances? I need to know everything.
And then on the second one, like he had stated, was on the market for a very short amount of time. And it was a homeowner who moved within the same neighborhood. So I don't really
To
find...
another model?
To another model within the
So if
same
they thought
neighborhood.
that it was so bad, why'd they go to another
So
model?
I can't under any circumstances really define that as a market transaction, with it being 12 days on the market and it moving within the same
Did
neighborhood.
they buy a resale or?
No, they bought a brand new home. So the three...
But this was the home, correct? That Nicholas had said they were the ones who got the incentives when they bought originally.
I believe so, I don't know the details of that.
Okay.
So the 3 comps that we are going to submit with regards to our cross appeal is the subject sale, which is happened on 6/24/14, which is 4 months before the assessing deadline, but I believe that a time adjustment could be made to that to bring that well above the current assessment of $446,900. 137 Arbourge
How
Drive,
much was that sale for?
that sale was for $543,329.
I'm sorry, what was that address?
That was the subject property.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That sold
No,
on-
Dunbury, but then I thought you said something on Arbourge.
You started
Sorry,
going
go on
to
to
the
the
next,
next
but hadn't
one.
given the actual sales price on the subject.
Oh, okay.
So 25 Dunbury Drive, it's a subject sale, sold 624.14 for $543,329. I think any sort of marginal time adjustment could be made to this to fall well above the $446,900 assessment. 137 Arbourge
Was that
Drive.
was that a new home sale?
Yes, it was. 137 Arbourge Drive is also a very Farmington model, 2,862 square feet, so slightly smaller. That sold for $402,575.
That one, was that a new construction?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
402 or
502, 575. And 2 Lovelock Lane is also a Farmington, 3183, so 80 square feet smaller. That sold for $557.59.
That was fully furnished.
So the all three comps are well above, from
So,
500.
Mr. Baldoni, you had suggested that the highest range in the neighborhood was 450
Market.
in the market, so this isn't part of the market, is that
No,
what you're
these
saying?
sales are not farmers sales.
They're not part of the neighborhood. I asked you,
They're part of
it
the
was a
neighborhood.
neighborhood description, what is the high and the low range in the neighborhood? And you said to me that the high range in the neighborhood was 450. So these sales didn't occur by that.
Commissioner, they're new home sales.
But whether they're new or not, when I say, what are the sales selling, what is the price range in that neighborhood? If there are sales selling for $550,000, is that a part of the price range? Is that part of the high end of the range?
Ma'am, with all due respect, I believe the point we've been trying to make for 2 years is that new home sales do not translate dollar for dollar to
Then
market
here's
value.
what you do. You give me some of those sales and you make adjustments to say that these things aren't recognized in the market, and you quantify that. That's what appraisal methodology does. So we get to the right number. You don't just not include things because they don't fit into what you're trying to present. That's not correct either.
But two
So if you're
overall-
excuse me a minute, so if you're in a new construction development and it's not a retirement community, and you buy a new home, and then somebody else has lived there for 3 years already and they sell theirs, isn't your house comparable to that one? It's not?
I believe in the base price. You know, if you were
There's
really...
lots of upgrades, but in all new construction that happens, not just in this retirement development. Maybe in this one it was more severe, but that happens with all new construction.
I get
We
that.
see lists of upgrades people get that you don't always recognize all of that in the market. But what we have to do is we have to take all that data and go through and make adjustments here and there and kind of get to where we should be.
And again, you know, had we been able to have meaningful negotiation, meaningful discussions with the tax assessor's office, we might have come to some better conclusions. But the fact of the matter is, we find ourselves in front of you, okay? And quite frankly, you don't really know Seabreeze. You know, I've lived there for 6 years. You don't know Seabreeze, and
How many appraisals have you done in Seabreeze?
I haven't done any.
How many times have you spoken to the people in the Seabreeze office, or spoken to the
All
Toll
the time.
Brothers
I'm on
office
the
directly?
board.
He's an unelected board member.
But I do as well. And I do it from the point of a professional who knows the methodology and what I have to or have to not do to determine what value
But
is.
ma'am, when we see comps that are literally just new home sales, the
Okay.
feeling I'm getting right now, and frankly, we could probably almost end this soon now, is that
Here's the problem. There are 2 sales in this report that are from your neighborhood.
Correct,
And they are at a price point of $385 and $380.
correct.
So why would it have been so wrong to include those 2 sales, because they're resales, and then take 2 sales that were new construction and reconcile them and come to something in the middle to say, okay, we can't get this new construction price in our resales, but, and this is what the resales are, so let's make adjustments to find out what our numbers should be. And there has to be some recognition of some of the upgrades that you've gotten, even though we're not going to give it a full value because the market may not recognize it. There has to be some consideration. If someone got a completely base model and someone got a lot of upgrades. When the other people were here before you and they were from a residential neighborhood, I was asking them, do you have a pool? Do you have a deck? Did you make upgrades? All of those things, when a buyer buys a home and they go into the home, if I walk into your home and it's the same model, but you have carpeted floors and outdated fixtures, and you have very, very base model, but then I walk into his home and he has hardwood and he has crown molding, whatever, am I not going to pay more for any of that? So just, instead of withholding it, give me all the data so we can look at it all and say, where should these numbers be? That's what I'm saying.
You know what, the fact of the matter
But
is...
you can't completely discount that as though it doesn't exist because it does, and you're competing with that.
But you can't completely discount the fact that there have been no ability to compromise here, okay? There's been no ability for us to sit
But
face it.
what you don't understand is that the assessor cannot reduce things just because you feel that they should be reduced. He has to have data. I have this data in front of me for a resale. I have one resale that sold 2% higher than it originally sold. Does that prove to me that the values are going down?
What I'm hearing right now is that the two resales are not going to be
No, but what
counted.
I'm saying to you, does that prove it? That's my question to you specifically. If you had to judge and you weren't emotionally involved, and you had one sale, if you were saying to me, oh, the market has dropped 50%, but the sales data you had said it went up 2%, does that prove your argument to me?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a blip on the screen.
Okay, so then we have the next sale, which sold in 12 days for 8% less. Does that really prove that the market has collapsed?
I question that 12 days. That house is
Okay.
it's
But do
literally
you
within a
see the
stone's
dilemma
throw.
here? If there is data that really supports this, where is it? That's unfortunately what we need. We have to have data and support, facts to prove these things.
So, well, can I give you some facts? Let's look at, the upgrade price. So for example, 2 Lovelock Lane, $181,764 in upgrades. We did an analysis, sat down with the 12 people, and said, what percentage, what went through in detail. And I can tell you that Lovelock, the guy spent almost $6 grand to get a heated bathroom floor. 13 grand
But he
for a
still-
bathroom. He spent almost $20,000 on a fireplace that's stone from ground to
But he
ceiling.
still has those things, Nicholas.
I understand that.
Even if they're
But
not
if you
worth
look
that
at it-
amount anymore, they're worth something. Tell me,
Right.
figure that
There's
out.
things that are in there that are
I just
structural.
want to point out, he said 6,000 for the floor, 20,000 for the bathroom. His own appraiser stated a bathroom is $30,000, which is why he made an adjustment of $15,000 for a half bath.
Correct.
So his own
We don't
appraiser
have
says that
that
is
in
recognized.
Seabreeze. There's no-
Nicholas, for your house, you did get a substantial amount of upgrades. At $156,000, what were the types of upgrades that you got?
The upgrades are upper level cabinets, carpeting, wood floor. The structural, when I broke it down to, out of those upgrades, about 20% of it was structural in terms of, we have the 4th bedroom,
Right,
we have the added 4 feet
okay?
onto the house, right? We added 2.5 feet on a garage, but it's a garage, which is to put a shelf in front. Other than that, we have marble, we have the, better granite, this master shower thing that doesn't even work well because the water pressure is terrible here. So it doesn't even function well. So I paid for a master shower upgrade that doesn't work.
So let me ask you then, do you think that the market wouldn't pay anything extra to have those nice upgrades?
I
Is that
think
what you're
that
saying?
if
Nothing at all?
what he's saying is $500,000, I want a contract with him to buy my house, I will leave. I will call a moving van on the way out the door.
Okay, all right.
I've asked the realtor, and I said, if I put this house on the market,
This
which
is
I listed at,
hearsay, I can't listen to it.
it's a
Thank you,
fact.
thank
Not
you.
a
If
fact.
it's a fact, then you would have to have that information provided 7 days in advance, and then you can address it.
I know
But thank
that-
you very much.
I know that, and I
But thank you
did
very
understand.
much. I have to get through the rest of the people
I
here, and
understand
I have a
that.
woman in the room who has a medical emergency, and someone very close to her has had a heart attack, is in the hospital, and I want her to be able to leave. So I apologize, I think I've given you plenty of time. I have your
We
report,
appreciate your
I have
time.
all your information, and I promise you, I will look at all of the data, okay?
Madam Commissioner.
Yes.
One point. you alluded to appraisal practice and good practice and so forth.
Correct.
If you use these sales in the $500,000 range and adjust them down to the market, that's a substantial 35 to 40%. I didn't do the math. That would make that not a comparable.
Why not?
I'm sorry, I just want to ask.
Those are banking regulations to go ahead.
A 35 to 40% adjustment, when the only paired sales we've discussed are your own sales, and your own paired sales suggest a 2% increase and an 8% decrease. But you're stating that on the new sales of over 500,000, there would have to be a 35 to 40% downward adjustment. And I ask you, what is your basis in data for that?
Even if you buy into the 2% increase one, that's nowhere near $500,000.
It's still not anywhere near a 35% reduction.
Well, whatever comes out
And you've made no
right.
indication as to what upgrades that particular home had. The reason these homes are selling for over 500,000 is because they're putting the marble and the upgraded granite and all those items. And I understand, sir.
And we're getting discriminated against for it.
Let me just say, I understand where you're saying that you don't feel that you can recoup what you paid to get those extras, you don't feel you can recoup in a resale. I understand you're saying that. If you can show me, if someone has a sale that has those upgrades that then resold for less, that's the type of evidence that would allow us to make that adjustment. Because right now, these... Where?
The 380, he had a lot of upgrades.
76 is not an upgrade. The other thing is, well, I don't, you know.
You gotta see his house, dude.
Okay. Moving on, agenda item 11, please, and that would be Jill Fording. Jill, you have the same model home?
What you gotta look at is 58 Arbourge.
And-
I'll be right back.
Okay, go ahead.
58 just sold last week, 457.
Well, that will be great information then for next year.
You know,
Can I
we
ask a question first?
Absolutely.
I just want to know what my rights are in terms of today and feeling. It's clear that things aren't being presented in maybe the way that will give us better information. So what is the process? In other words,
I don't know.
if they don't change our taxes, do we have the right to appeal it? Is my question?
Absolutely, you can appeal that and then go to the state. Or you can go ahead and as time goes by, more and more data may come into the market. When there are more and more resales, that will give us some better market data to use.
Okay, I can
Right,
represent
you can
myself.
represent yourself, absolutely. And the types of information that the gentleman before you was talking about, graphs, all that, you can bring all that information to me. You just have to submit it. I'm not saying to you you can't. You can bring whatever you feel will go ahead and paint that picture and provide the evidence that you're talking about. You just have to give it to us 7 days in advance so that we have an opportunity to look through it and make sure it's accurate data. Because a lot of times, people not understanding the process present data that's not, and that can be very confusing.
Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. I really do hope that your friend is well. So Jill, you purchased your unit for $450,900. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. It was $442,813. You're assessed for $450,900. And your feeling was that your property should be reduced to $231,520. And what do you base that on? Because your appraiser came in at $410,000. So we're going to dismiss the appeal form because that was not accurate? Okay. So your appraisal, the appraised value there was $410,000. And let me just take a look and see if we've used the same sales data. And I believe that may be the case.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we've used the same sales data, we have basically the same information. What I'm going to ask you is the gentleman before you had the location with the walking trail and the pond. Do you have any such location or any kind of issues with your property specifically that you'd like me to know?
I have no issues with my property. I can back up to the woods.
Okay, so yours is a private location?
Correct. Neighbors.
Okay.
Am I allowed to comment on the 76 Arbourge house, or you don't want to know more about that?
76 Arbourge, what did you want me to know about
Well,
that?
I know the owners, the big house, the house.
And did they stay in the community?
They did stay in the community.
And did they think that they got such a bad deal the first time that they bought again in the property, in the complex?
The only thing that I know is that Well, the house is beautiful, presents beautifully.
And that would be the new one, or that's the one that they sold?
The one that they sold.
Okay.
It's the same model as mine. And the only thing that, again, I know you said hearsay, but they did tell me specifically they just wanted to price it at a reasonable price to sell. It wasn't a rush, and it was a beautiful
Okay.
house. I don't know if that's good or bad for us.
So even if they say they wanted to price it as a reasonable price to sell, it is, again, only 8% below what they originally paid for,
I'm
correct?
just telling you what I know.
And I'm telling you what I know. That's, I want everybody to know everything, okay? All right, so, on your property, did you have a lot of upgrades?
I have a extended master bedroom,
Okay?
and the sunroom is Four Seasons. It's part of the house, the sunroom. So it's not external,
Okay?
it's an extra room.
So yours is, you said heated, correct?
Yes. It's part of that.
But part of your square footage?
Correct. And the house is,
Yours has,
3.5
again,
years
the
old.
4 bedrooms and 3 baths, correct?
right.
And I'm sorry, how old is
The
it?
house is 3.5 years old, not 2 years old.
Okay, but this would be as of 2015. Remember, the valuation was as of 2015.
Three.
Okay, so it would be 3 at that time, 3.5? And do you feel the condition is new, like it was represented in the report, or good, like the rest of the sales? So it's basically saying maybe yours is a little bit better, or is it yours is the same?
Well, my house burnt down a couple years ago and was redone, so.
Get out,
That's
this
good or
one?
bad.
Oh
Yeah,
my
half of it.
goodness.
So some of it was redone because of that, but it's not really a
Okay,
great,
when did
it's
the
not really a
fire,
great selling point.
when did the fire occur?
2013.
And can you tell me, how was that remediated? What company was used for that? Was that done professionally?
Professionally, so I did restore it properly.
Was that a significant fire? Was that, kept to one area of the home, or?
One side, one was it,
One
the house
side.
next door burned down to the ground, so the house is burned.
I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so taken down to the studs, beams were replaced, everything, or they were just?
On the right side, on the right side of the house.
It's not a waste of time because
No, I said it
that's
was a
something
crazy
specific to your
time.
home.
No, I
okay,
didn't say
crazy
that.
time.
No, I'm just trying to remember, so, what's the question again, I'm sorry?
I wanted to know if it was significantly damaged, but you said it was
No,
just
that house for
taken.
5 months, but.
Okay, and then the work, when it was
But the
redone,
work is
taken
fine.
down to the studs and everything was redone there?
On the side of the house.
Okay.
Inside.
All right, so we have the same comps. We'll go ahead and enter the sales that were provided by your appraiser. Questions about the report would probably just be the same as before. There was no scope of work. Let's see. And I was told, again, yours would be the same, 226 for your homeowner's fee, or 225, somewhere in that range? Okay. Municipality, were there any questions you had? We've already spoke about these sales, anything about this particular property? Okay. Did you want to go ahead and enter any of your sales, or we're just going to rest on the sales previously entered?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Jill, thank you very much. And again, we'll take the information you provided, the information they provided. If you'd like to come back yourself, by all means. And if you or anyone else wants to provide graphs or any other information, please do so. Please bring with you and put into evidence within that time period everything that you want so that you can better explain everything. Okay? Thank you so much, and I wish you the best. I hope your friend is well.
I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I'm 76 Arbourge Drive.
Okay? Great.
So I don't know if you want to later on or how you
You
want.
have, that's a Farmington as well?
Yes.
But you now are appealing, what is the model that you have now?
We haven't, no, I'm now the owner.
Oh, you're
On
now
the
the owner.
resale, so I know that you had a lot of questions. I don't know if you want to answer them now or when it's
Well,
my
if you have the
turn or.
Farmington, yeah, when it's your turn, because
Okay.
you should be coming up any minute now.
Okay, just curious.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to.
You are at 111 Arbourge or 11 Arbourge?
111.
Okay, because the report says 11 and
111.
your tax says 111, so I just wanted to confirm. Okay, so this should be 111 Arbourge. And I just wanted to confirm with you, sir, because I do have, let's see, in your report that was submitted for design, it says Linwood, but you're
No.
saying you definitely have the Farmington, correct?
She has the wrong report. Did you give her the
We
right
have a
report?
revised report that was, is,
Mine says for DeServio, I have 11 Arbourge, I have it as a Linwood, and I have it as square footage of 1,900 square feet, which is not either a Linwood or Farmington model. I have it as 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and I think is the Farmington model a
Yes,
3
ma'am.
bath?
Yes.
no, get a Farmington. Sorry, somebody said Linwood, I said,
Well, she has the wrong report.
Sir, how many bathrooms do you have?
No bathrooms, we got the window.
You know what I'm gonna do, because I have, is this for their property?
This is from the survey. These are 3 versions of modified, or not modified, value.
Okay, correct. So this one has the wrong address. Okay, so this one has the correct address, and this one has the correct address, and that has the correct address. That's that one. Okay. Are these all the same?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want, okay, so.
I have mine.
Okay, so would you give them one too, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this copy hopefully is correct. Otherwise, it really misrepresents your
All right, let's go. Geraldine.
So your property now, this says Farmington, and I have you at 2,542 square feet, is that correct?
I don't believe so, but because we
Because
did,
the others seem larger than that.
No, this is,
we did no options on this house. When we bought it, it said 2450. So they probably came up with that little extra, because you said, you just measure the outside or something.
Right. So your Farmington, because some of them like have the manor and the thing, yours.
We got bare bones.
vinyl siding, no
No.
No
brick,
brick, no fireplace, no bathrooms.
bare bones.
And let's see, you purchased your property for $395,836,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. $395,836, and that was purchased in 2014.
April 22nd.
So, the sales that were provided by your appraiser, I believe that one of them was I'm sorry, the 61 Arbourge, what model was that again?
Stockton.
Oh, that's the Stockton, okay. And then the 76, was
That was a
that?
Farmington, that's equal to us.
And the new owner stays there.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you bought your house new
Right.
for $395,836. The new owner of 76 purchased that for $380. But the point that was made was that that one had a lot of upgrades in it,
And a lot
correct?
more square foot.
Okay, right, because that one's over 3,000 square feet, okay. So that one has upgrades and yours does not. Other than that, would that be very similar and a very good comp for your house?
Well, we have no fireplace, no backsplash, no brick,
Right,
no.
that's what I said, the
Yeah,
one I
we
said,
have
no
right.
upgrades in yours
Right.
and upgrades in that one.
Right.
Right.
And how about the 61 Arbourge, even though it is the Stockton model, it's 2,600 square feet, which is
Right.
closer to your square
Right.
footage. Would that be a good representation of your home, do you
Well,
think?
they probably have a lot more options than us.
You think they have more options?
Right. I'm sure they would, you can see what they closed at, right?
Right, okay. All right. Anything specific about your home? Again, is there anything in the location that either detracts or adds to the value?
No view,
Okay.
no walking trail, no.
No location, okay. Municipality, is there anything you'd like to speak about with this property?
Just a
Just
couple
Servio.
questions. Servio, it said that for 61 Arbourge Drive, you think there's probably a lot more options on
Yes.
that. Can you tell me what they are?
Brick front, more square footage. Oh, no, 61?
61.
What's that, the Stockton?
That's the Stockton. You said
That's a brick front. I don't know, I never was in it, you know,
So you don't actually have any knowledge as to whether there are any upgrades?
No, but I was told when we bought our house, we were one of the few that didn't.
We were one of the few that didn't?
Right.
Okay, and you
Our
did
base
not...
price was like 10,000, we paid 10,000 basically over what they were going for at the time,
Okay.
so.
61 Arbourge, I'm looking at a photo, they don't have any stone or brick on the front of that.
No, they don't have
Oh, they
that.
don't? They don't?
I don't know,
Okay.
I mean, it's 70,
So that one's all vinyl siding too?
just like us.
Okay.
And you did purchase your home for, I'm sorry, what was it, 390?
395, 836.
Okay, and that was April 14th?
Right. April 2014, that's right.
Starting to feel like it's like when you buy a car,
Yeah,
you
you
do this
guys-
5,000 and you drive off the lot.
That sounds like you bought one of Seabreeze.
You know, have we had testimony directly from the appraiser yet, or is the appraiser going to go through the appraisal, or are we just going to sort of accept the testimony as being what was previously
I
submitted?
think it's probably easier that way because it's basically the same report. It will change because some models, the
Understood.
smaller models, there
I
are
just didn't
more
know
new
if I should
sales.
now ask any questions of the appraiser, or if we were going to wait for him to testify directly first.
Do you,
I
if
do
there
have
are
just a few
specific things you
questions.
want to address, by all means.
Okay, now, Ms. Baldoni, primary question I have is that you have the two comps that you have in the subject neighborhood. You adjusted downwards to 384,400 for comparable number one, and downwards to 363,240 for comparable number two. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I guess my question is, given those numbers, how you reached a conclusion of value of 360,000 for the subject property?
Well, there are three other ones as well, the blend of the other sales as well, which are 341, 780, 346, 360, and 331, 680. So my thinking was, and I think correctly so, that I'm looking at the competitive market, that not only what's in the complex, which is influenced to some degree by the sale price in the beginning, which probably was not even a market number then, but it was a new property sale, a new cost. So I think those other three comps and the comps that we used within the complex of Seabreeze gave me included the 360.
So
It's not weighted 50-50 between the two. It's 60, 65, 40 towards the Seabreeze.
So do you find in your, excuse me, just one second, do you find in your residential practice that the marketability for Barnegat and for Lacey Township are the same?
No, well, that's not, are the same. No, Lacey's weaker.
Lacey's weaker than Barnegat, you think?
That's what I was finding out.
Can I ask why then you made positive adjustments to your Barnegat comparables for location? If it's a weaker
Well,
market,
no.
why did you add 10,000?
Yes, and location in the sense of distance from the parkway, just general age of the community and the neighborhood, although I see that's growing up very. I have a very good friend that lives there, we live all the time, and that whole area is growing up very nicely. Even though I would consider the Barnegat area, where the garage complex in that particular location were weaker, it is coming along very nicely.
Bigger clubhouses.
Oh, the bigger, well, that's an amenity factor again, it does have.
And so again, your testimony that the subject sale would not represent a market transaction, if you don't feel it's, representative of market value?
Well, they do, but they're in a competitive market, not just within Seabreeze and not just within Lacey Township. They're in a competitive market in all of Ocean County and other areas.
In that instance,
speaking with the brokers, their biggest competitor, Seabreeze, loses buyers to Mirage more so than anybody else. And people who don't buy in Mirage end up buying there, and they buy at a substantially lower price. Maybe it's a 10-year-old house, but everyone that I talked to and confirmed with the broker, those 10-year-old homes, they said there isn't anything in them that wouldn't, other than maybe some design features that maybe Toll Brothers does now, in the marketplace for the community does now, but they're perfect homes. So you're asking me to stay in Seabreeze and say, this is it, and that we can't leave it. You have to leave it. It's a
I understand, but what you seem to be indicating is that you're saying because there's competition with Seabreeze to lesser communities that sell for lesser amounts,
lesser communities, they might be perceived to be maybe somewhat,
Well, I'm looking, you have sales for $325,000 for 12 Frog Pond Drive, $330,000 for 3 Ripple Terrace, 24 Passage Lane selling for $342,000, for which you then have to make further adjustments to gross adjustments of $341, $346, and $331. Whereas your sales in Lacey Township, the original sales prices are $385 and $380, to which you're making net adjustments of 0.2%, 4.4%. So I guess my question is, how is that a comparable market? Just because it's pulling buyers who may be looking for a cheaper option, how does that negatively affect the sales price in Lacey when the actual sales prices you're showing in Lacey are at $385 and $380?
yeah, well, that's not a cheaper market, it's just a different product and a different location. But my
Are they selling for less? Are they selling for a lesser amount of money?
In
Barnegat?
In Barnegat? Yeah, sure. that might be
Okay,
so.
and is selling for less mean that it's cheaper in cost?
Cheaper is not a word I would use, but if it's cheaper, that's fine with me.
Well, I think the point is too, when you
I
go
understand.
outside of your market, as you go further out into another township with other school systems and other different things, different police, different everything,
We don't care about schools.
what happens is, the point is that it's a different market, it's a different town. So as you go further out, those sales are the ones that actually become less reliable. So if the adjusted range of your sales in the project are 363 to 384, why would you be below that? Why wouldn't you be somewhere in that range, between 363 and 384?
Well, I think I said before, these sales, all sales, were analyzed and considered. I would stick.
Yes, but also 55 Whitewater Drive, you made no adjustment to the fact that that is an older sale. So if you had adjusted that upwards, you would have then been into the 400s. So that whole methodology is skewed because you didn't adjust comp number 3 correctly.
That could have been higher, but my
It could have been higher, it would have been the same thing as the other one. It would have been 1-year-old house compared to a 10-year-old house, and for that you made adjustments of $9,000 to $15,000.
What I meant by it could have been higher was using your methodology. But again, there are 6 sales here. I wouldn't personally agree with just using the 3 in the complex. Because the 3 in the complex, even though they show some tick up in 1 of 2%, hardly kind of negligible.
So what you have basically is this, though, think about it. You have a market in a neighboring community that's much older, that's lower. You have a market of resales in your neighborhood that's close to what they paid for or just a little bit less. And then in that same neighborhood, you have a market of new construction that's higher. Yet you chose to discount all this and go to the bottom.
I don't think so. That might be your conclusion. But of the sales in Barnegat, which were 342, let's round it, okay, 346 and 332. I still think we go to 360 for the subject property, which won't get higher than those sales. So what I'm getting at is I didn't dismiss
Most emphasis would have been placed on what sales? Sales 1 to 3?
2, 4, and 5.
If you had completed a reconciliation, which you really didn't, would you have gone with the 2 sales in the project and sale number 3, 55 Whitewater, which sold right before the cutoff date?
Yes.
Okay, so you had one adjusted sale at 384, one at 363, and if you had adjusted sale 3 properly because your sale date was wrong, you would have been in the 400s. So then you would have had a value range of 363 to 4 to maybe 25. So, okay. All right.
I used 2, 4, and 5.
I have one more question. Commissioner, Mr. Baldoni, for comparable number 3, you made a negative adjustment for its having an additional half down. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what was that adjustment amount?
10,000.
How did you derive that number?
I used what I said earlier, the bus factor, and used 15 before and 10.
Can I ask you why there's a differential where you use 15 when we're talking about the exact same comparable 55 Whitewater Drive? that it would be, represent $15,000 value in terms of cost factor in the one, but only $10,000 cost factor in the other?
I could raise it to 50,000.
Well, I'm asking you why there's a discrepancy between the two.
Maybe an error.
I have no further questions.
Get back to my house.
Yes.
And the comparable, like the trees, the 76, that's like, when you do the math, that's what, 30% bigger than my house? 20% bigger? 500 square feet, right? That's 20% bigger.
Okay.
And difference of the prices are really a big difference when you think about it.
And I would add that,
I guess my question would be, when we look at comparable number one, which is the Stockton, which is almost the same size.
Right.
I realize it's a different model, but it's almost the exact same size as your house, and that sold for $384,400.
Right.
I'm sorry, $385.
What was his closing price? You know what he bought it at?
$385.
No, what he bought it at?
Oh, originally?
Yes, originally.
$377.
But what year was that?
2010 or 11.
Yeah, it was 4 years.
10 or 11.
Yeah, it was 4 years.
So
So he made no money on his house.
Right, he made no money.
So I-
He basically got back what he put in.
Right.
And you paid $395 on yours.
And I'll never get that.
So, excuse me,
So I was, I'm sorry, get.
that's the sale we've been saying that's gone up 2% in how
Correct.
many years? In how many years? What was the sale date?
5 years.
No, that wasn't, was that the
2010.
2014 sale or the 2011?
Yeah,
sale?
that was the 20, we think 2011.
I thought comp 2 was the 2011 sale. They both were 2011?
Okay, so are we talking about a rate
No.
increase? Are we talking about a rate increase, 2%?
No, but we're not talking about a rate reduction either. Are we?
can I just add one
Absolutely.
other thing? We're currently assessed at 407, and our square footage, price per square foot would be $160. The
Okay.
comps here are $145 per square foot for a larger home,
Okay.
$125 for a much larger home at 76 Arbourge Drive.
And that tends to happen as you get larger sometimes, okay? Where you'll see the price per square foot, because sometimes you don't realize that whole price when you're going that big, but
Right.
I see your point.
Right,
It's a good
but
point.
407, our appraisal at 407 brings our house, which is a bare bones house, to $160 per square foot as compared to 145 and 125, 127.
Right.
So,
Okay, very good point.
Let's bring it down to 50 and let's see.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Just in case no one mentioned, but Heritage Point still sells new homes, and the base prices are the same as Seabreeze.
Great. But they're also in a different town, aren't they?
That's Toll's competition.
So now we have agenda item 12, I believe, is the next one, John and Donna Jurek.
John, they have,
They have leave, okay? Okay, so then we have our next Farmington. Agenda item 15. Number 15, please. What?
The wall.
Excuse me? No, the next agenda item is 15. Nottie, Gary, and Deborah.
It's 13.
We're going by model initially. So trust me, it'll go much faster if we stay with one model, then move to the next model, otherwise jumping back and
Okay,
forth. Although whoever has that fair hit in that wall, I understand where that would be.
And so we'll put that one here. Okay, Mr. Nadi, thank you, sir. You are at 18 Holbrook, correct? Correct. Okay. And sir, you went ahead and you gave us those two sales we've been talking about,
As well as.
and some others. Yep. And we have 715 Joseph sale, also Joseph Avenue,
Correct.
and 39 Bradley Beach Way, and 140 Hetherington Court.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I happen to be in a little bit different position from what I'm observing here.
Okay.
My assessment is higher than what I paid for the house,
Okay.
by $27,000.
So you purchased it for $425, sir, in 2010?
Correct. And I'm at $452.8 for my assessment, which
Okay.
seems to be inconsistent with what other farming towns perhaps.
Now, the 715 Joseph, is that in a retirement community?
That's an Ocean Air.
I'm sorry, which one?
Ocean Air?
Okay. And that, sir, is a competing retirement community?
I believe so. It's in Lenoka Harbor, so it's certainly in proximity to Seabreeze. This particular home has 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, same as mine, only with a basement.
Okay.
Property size is about the same. It sold for $385, which frankly mirrors, one of the sales that we had inside of Seabreeze.
And
Joseph,
is this a
Joseph is
retirement
not-
community? This is not a retirement community. Okay, so we need sales within a retirement community.
It was listed as Ocean Air. You're saying it's not in Ocean Air?
So 715 Joseph is not in a retirement community.
Okay.
Okay, so how about 39 Bradley Beach Way? What community is that one in?
I didn't realize that they had to be in retirement communities. I thought we were looking at comparable homes.
So is a comparable home a single-family home that doesn't have the restrictions or the maintenance fee that a retirement home, the restriction of how old people can be to buy the property?
Well-
That's a comparable? So I can't buy.
Obviously, in my eyes, it was.
No, I'm sorry, but it's not.
Okay.
Because if somebody who's a first-time buyer or somebody who's 35, they can't buy in your development. It's restricted.
That's correct, which
Okay.
is actually a reason why our assessment should be decremented because of that.
That is a specific market. The adult community is a specific market, one that is very, very big in the county of Ocean. And so sales have to be from other competing retirement communities.
Okay.
So your 39 Bradley Beach Way, is that in a retirement community?
No, only the 2 Arboureges are.
Only the 2 Arbourges?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so then we have the same sale data, but your contention is that you purchased it for an amount that is below
What my
your
assessment-
sale price, and you don't believe that there has been any appreciation in that development, is that correct?
From my perspective, no, there hasn't been $27,000 worth.
Okay.
In fact, if you use the same 8% decrement, that brings my purchase price down to $391.
Well, you could use that, or you could use the other sale, which would be a 2% increase. Or you could take the 2 of them and average them and come somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Again, I can't always just go to one side. I have to look at
Okay.
everything. So I do have something that says 2+, even though I do have something that says 8-. So it all has to be considered.
Okay, but right now I am assessed at $27,000 above
Okay?
what I paid for the home.
And you've included the property record cards, thank you very much, for your property as well as the sales you provided.
Correct.
Okay. Any information about your property specifically, your location, or anything you'd like me to know?
I'm across the street from the pond, so I
Okay.
don't have homes in front of me, but, to offset that, behind me, I will be perpendicular to homes directly behind me, so there'll be homes built. There isn't one there today,
Okay.
but they're all open for sale, so.
Is that common in the neighborhood to have homes behind you?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the premium lots, such as the
Are the
wooded lots.
wooded back lots?
Correct. Or the ones surrounding the pond that you've heard about already.
Okay.
But behind
So that
me
is
will
not a
be-
premium lot?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else, sir, that you'd like to add?
Anything else I'd like to add? I suppose not. I mean, you've heard pretty much everything that there is to
Okay.
hear on
Okay.
this.
Municipality, did you have any questions?
I do.
He's
I just
basically
need-
entering the same 2
Yeah,
sales.
I just need a tiny bit of time looking for notes that I had that I put in the wrong place. Here we go. And those aren't going to be any of this. I just want to see one more.
Commissioner, I would like to stress one more time, though.
Yes.
I think much of this angst and much of the problems we've had could have been mediated had we had some meaningful discussions locally.
Okay.
And I think that's something to be, take a look at in the future.
All right, great. I'll go ahead, I'll make a note of that and all of the information.
Mr. Nadi, I'm sorry. Quick question, when was the clubhouse completed? Do you know what year?
The clubhouse was open for business probably in 10, I believe. They started They started construction in 9, but
The summer of 2013,
they
it was
started in
complete.
10.
Right, 2013.
When I bought
Nobody
my
wants to
home,
hurt anybody, but it's not
I
easy.
know. When I closed on my home, there wasn't a clubhouse. So I guess
There have been prior testimony when we were discussing the comps of 61 Arbourge Drive and 76 Arbourge Drive, when we raised the original sales price of those properties in 2010 and 2011. There was testimony that at that point in time, Toll Brothers was offering substantial incentives as to the upgrades to encourage people to purchase because the clubhouse and the development was not yet complete. Is that correct?
Toll has offered incentives on and off since they started construction. It depends. Like anything else, their production of homes is not a straight line. It's not linear.
I understand.
So every time it begins to dip, Toll corporate will come out and say, why don't you offer this or that.
Understood. I'm asking because we were told specifically in prior testimony that for sales in 2010 and 2011, that was a time frame when they were offering substantial, I believe the word was substantial incentives on upgrades. Is that correct?
They were offering incentives, that is correct.
Did you receive incentives when you purchased your home
I
in
did.
October of 2010?
I did.
Okay, so your $425,000 purchase price included incentive discounts on the upgrades that you placed in the home?
Yes, it did.
Can you tell me, do you know off the top of your head, and I understand if you don't, how much those incentives total?
I'd have to go back to my HUD statement, frankly. But for instance, we talked about a sunroom that was thrown in as an incentive. They gave $1 incentive for the second floor. I guess there were probably some other.
So after the base price and whatever upgrades you did pay for as incentives, they added the sunroom for free. It was $1 for finishing the second floor.
Correct. That is correct.
And again, they are the same comps we would have gone over before, so you are aware that 76 Arbourge Drive sold in 12 days.
I didn't realize it was 12 days. Like I said, I live in very close proximity. I thought it was on the market longer than that. I don't know how to really respond to that. You know what? It only takes one person interested to buy a home, and sometimes people get lucky. If their home had been $420,000, then it may still be on the market today. It's easy, but nobody's crystal ball is perfect. They happened to hit the right person at the right time, and they sold it. On 9 Iverness, that's been on the market now, I believe, must be over 18 months.
400 days.
Yeah.
400 and some days.
Okay, so, I'm not exactly sure.
You gotta give them a way to sell.
I don't know that you should quantitatively look at something like that and draw conclusions from.
That's what your house is
Well,
worth.
that's why you have to include that in
But
the
that's what you're
evaluation.
gonna get some for it. You can think your house is worth a lot, but you're not.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And let's also be clear on something. Toll is noted for building custom luxury homes, but their adult communities are, prefab homes. ostensibly. You know, so whether it's a Stockton, whether it's a Farmington, whether it's, you know, one of the other ones, the footprint is all the same. Walls are moved, windows are changed, but ostensibly it's the same home. Sometimes people bump it out or something, you know, make it a little bit larger, but it's the same footprint.
I understand. To counter that, there are some people who would argue that utilizing that same, standardizing like that has led to better quality of construction than they otherwise would have if they're doing each
I have no issue with them doing that, you know, panelizing walls.
Right.
I have no issue with that at all.
I agree with you.
But the fact of the matter is, all two stories are almost the same.
All right, so thank you very much. I think I have plenty of information, and so we'll go ahead and make a determination for you.
Okay, about how long will that,
What happens is the whole town has to be heard first before everything goes out, and I think the hearings are done at the end of June. And so then I think maybe a week or so, once the girls in the office process everything, so it would be before the end of the summer.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Commissioner, I'm Joe Pompeo. I'm supposed to be agenda number 13.
Correct.
I know you want to go through models, but I don't understand what the models really mean. I happen to...
Because I set the agenda, and I
Okay.
determined I could start at the bottom. The only thing that thing says is what your block and lot number is. So I've determined that for my purposes, because it helps me evaluate if I stay with one model, that's how I'm going to do it.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get across is a Walden model. There's only 2 models of
Correct.
Walden in the whole
Correct.
development.
Correct. And what I had said in the beginning,
I'm the only Walden
excuse me,
model.
what I had said in the beginning of the day or morning was that I was going to start with the models, that there were only 1 or 2, which would have been yours. I had someone who had an emergency situation with a certain type of model. I chose to start with that model. Also, Nicholas had asked that he be able to present some overview first, and he also had that model, so we started there. Once we're done with the Farmington, then I can go ahead and give you the opportunity, since you just have the one model of that type, okay? So the next agenda item, number 18, is for Patricia Polera, and that would be the 76 Arbourge that we've been speaking of. Good morning, afternoon. How are you today? Whatever it is. All right, so you have the 76 Arbourge Drive, and you purchased that in August of 2015 for $380,000, correct? Correct. And we were told that that home was very beautiful and had upgrades, is that correct?
There's no additional added space. As far as upgrades, I don't know what the upgrades were because it was a resale, but it's just got moldings and...
Okay, so some of the people in your neighborhood have painted a picture as though this house was filled with upgrades, and now you're saying it's just a base model.
Well, you know what?
Now, I just want, and I'm not suggesting anything, but do you understand how difficult it is now? Because you get conflicting information, and you get information this, and you get information here, and we have to put it all together and just deal with facts and not emotion. So, okay.
No,
So
I
it's
understand.
just a regular model, in your opinion, correct?
Yeah, it's beautifully decorated and painted, which
Okay.
adds to it, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And on your model, you purchased it, and it was purchased in 12 days. Can you tell me, I know what I was told was that the people then purchased another unit. When you spoke with the realtor, whoever it was that helped you, were you told that they were anxious to sell the home, to buy another home? Were you given any information to that?
No, it was a willing on both ends.
Okay. All right. So you feel that that was a market transaction at $380. And the location on this one, is there anything that sets this one apart from the others? Anything detrimental or positive?
We have the walking path behind us.
So you also have that. And does that mean that you also have the pond view?
No.
Okay. So you have the walking path behind there. All right, and you are the Farmington. And so they have used, the appraiser has used your sale as one of the comparables, which would make sense. And you are currently assessed at 446 you have on your form, 446.9, and you believe it should be brought down to 354,080. But your appraisal says what? Let's see, 380. So does that seem more reasonable to you than your initial calculation of 354, especially since you just paid $380,000?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
You had initially put on your form, you thought it should be reduced to 350. Your appraisal says 380, and you just purchased it for 380. Does that seem reasonable to you? More reasonable than 354, which there's no evidence that it should be worth 354?
Yes.
Okay. We have the same sales, basically, so municipality, do you have any questions about this particular sale? It gives you an opportunity to find out, for us to find out what's really in some of this.
Understood. With regard to the petitioner or with regard to the appraiser?
Either.
Okay. Mr. Belboni, I noted for your comparable number 2, you made an adjustment for age, is that correct?
Yes.
And what was the amount that you made?
On comp number 2 is $1,000.
And can you explain to me the basis for that adjustment?
Yeah, for each year in question, I use $1,000 to reflect the age of the property.
But isn't comparable number 2 the subject property?
Yes.
So should there be an adjustment made to the subject property as a comp?
Yes, so in this time frame, they bought it in 2015.
And your valuation was 2015, so would it be the same age? Was it built a different year when it was comparable?
Well, no, I thought
It's so, because you had the wrong date for the sale.
yeah, I fixed that.
It was a resale, obviously.
Right. But what the attorney is saying is, why would you adjust it when it's the same age, it's the same property?
How old is it?
It was 5 years old. 4 years old? It was 4 years old.
Okay.
I'd also note that you have a differential in square footage for the site size. Can you explain why that differential exists?
For the site size?
Yes. If I look at your listing for the subject property, it indicates a site size of 6,156 square feet, and for comparable number 2, it lists a site size of 6,268 square feet.
I'm not sure I have an adjustment there. Let me see what the site is, though. The typical site, not...
You don't, you just have inaccurate information for the same property, because you're conflicting.
Okay, I'm not seeing where, I'm sorry, can you show that?
In the grid, you have site size in your
Yep,
grid. The
I see.
subject property, 6,156.
Oh, I
And for
see.
comp 2, which is the same property,
Yes, I
you have
see.
6,268.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you made a positive or negative adjustment, I would keep it.
No, it's just inaccurate.
Yeah, of course it should be the same number.
All right, and I'd also just note that for car storage, you have two car attached garage for the subject, but a 2 built-in for the comparable number 2.
They're all built in.
And you have a patio listed under pool for the subject, and none listed for the comparable number 2.
Yeah, well, there's definitely no pool, everybody has a patio.
I'm just asking why there's the differential between what you've listed for the subject property as opposed to what you've listed for the same property when mentioned as comparable 2.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay. There's no, other than oversight.
And you had previously testified that essentially the three best comparables for all of these, essentially I'm assuming it's going to be for all of these properties, are the 61 Arbourge Drive, the 76 Arbourge Drive, and the 55 Whitewater in Barnegat Township. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. I didn't say they were the best. This is the discussion we had about the New England community. I said they carried a little bit more weight.
Okay, then those carry the most weight,
Right.
correct? Okay. And I'm seeing an adjusted sales price of $399 for 61 Arbourge, $381 for 76 Arbourge, although I understand that $1,000 adjustment may be a mistake, so maybe that should say $380, and $412,000 for 55 Whitewater Drive. Now, given that you were giving those three the most weight, how is it that you reached a conclusion of value of $380,000?
Well, they were given most weight on a weighted average or a weighted basis. I used the other three sales from,
But we also have the problem of 55 Whitewater not having an adjustment for age, because you indicated it was
Right.
3 years old, and it's not. It was built in 2005, and so it's 10 years old. So that sale should have been higher.
Right.
Based on your other sales, it would have been at least $10,000 higher.
for 422.
If that had been taken into account and you'd reached an adjusted value for 55 Whitewater Drive of either 422 or I guess 427, you previously testified it would be $10,000 or $15,000 differential, would that have changed your conclusion of value for this property?
No.
So then you were giving no weight whatsoever to 55 Whitewater Drive?
I'm giving weight to all six comparables with a slightly greater lean towards the Seabreeze property.
Well, my question is, if you are saying that you are giving some weight to 55 Whitewater Drive, if you were to change your conclusion of adjusted value for 55 Whitewater Drive, if that were to change and increase, and you are giving some weight to that sale, how could you not result in a change, an increase in your conclusion of value for the subject property? Unless it is, in fact, that you are giving no weight to 55 Whitewater Drive.
Well, I said that earlier, that at 55 Whitewater Drive, I couldn't confirm 100%, but there's no indication from anyone in any published source that it was not a sale. So my leaning is not to put that much into it, and as I said earlier.
I understand that you testified earlier that you didn't have any information indicating that the age was wrong, and I understand that you don't have confirmation that the age is wrong. You don't actually have that information in front of you. My question is, assuming that you are wrong on 55 Whitewater, and the age is, in fact, 10 or 15 years old, which you've indicated would require a $10,000 to $15,000 negative adjustment, negative positive, would require a $10,000 to $15,000 positive adjustment. If that were the case, and it resulted in a concluded value of 55 Whitewater Drive of either $422,000 or $427,000, how would that affect your conclusion of value in the appraisal as to the value of the subject property?
Okay, I understand the question. And what I'm going to answer is that the subject property in itself is the best comp.
So then you were indicating that you are giving zero weight to 55 Whitewater. Is that correct?
I understand. I'm not saying, how about my other three comps to the reserve?
My question is, are you giving any weight to 55 Whitewater?
Some.
Then how would a change in your concluded value of Whitewater change your concluded value for the subject property?
Well, I don't think it would. You mean, am I going to change my 380 because of increasing Whitewater by $3?
If you're increasing Whitewater by $15,000, you're saying that would have no effect on your conclusion of value for the subject?
It's in the range of all the sales that I presented. This is just one sale.
If you were to change your conclusion of value on comparable number 4 by $15,000, would that change your conclusion of value for the subject?
Well, it could, yes. To answer your question, it could. Yes.
But for 55 Whitewater, it would not?
I did not say that. What I'm saying is that all six comparables were considered. And the average of all those is, and I weighted more towards Seabreeze and more towards the subject sale, and also the competing Mirage and Heritage facilities. So what I'm saying is, mathematically it might be, but this is not a mathematical exercise.
And this is, I'm asking just a yes or no question. If you were to make a $15,000 upward adjustment to your comparable number 3, would that affect your conclusion of value, yes or no?
No.
If you made a $15,000 upward adjustment to your comparable number 4, would that affect your conclusion of value for the subject, yes or no?
No.
If you made a $15,000 adjustment to your conclusion of value for comparable number 5, would that affect your conclusion of value for the subject, yes or no?
No.
And then for comparable number 6, the same question. If you were to make 15,000 upward adjustment, would that change your conclusion of value for the subject property, yes or no?
I'm not sure why I'm making adjustments if it's...
Yes or no?
Or is this an exchange of...
Commissioner?
No, here's the
idea.
problem,
Commissioner?
excuse me, here's the problem. There's an expert seated up here who needs to know how to answer these questions. They're very basic. There are a lot of errors in these reports. It's very difficult to get through this. I mean, this is a problem.
But you gotta have some latitude and let him answer the question, yes or no.
No, I do not. The issue is, he is required to answer the question. He is required to answer hypothetical questions. He is being non-responsive to my questions. When I raise my voice, I'm trying to make the emphasis to him that I'm looking for a clear and concise answer, which he is refusing to give.
Can't you give him one yes or no?
I said no, and I'll say no to the question.
Thank you.
Okay,
I have no further questions.
okay, thank you very much. And go ahead.
The issue that we basically had is when we were buying the house, the number we got for taxes was a lot less than when we closed on it. Right, so that's out of,
And I get that, that's the issue, but we don't set the tax rate up. That's a whole other thing. We just set the value, and then what happens, as budgets are done and whatever, then a rate is applied to that value. But we don't like back into it to see what the rate's gonna be. We say what the value is based on fact, simple. Not to take advantage of anybody, not to hurt anyone, what are the facts? And that's the only thing we can use in this process. All right, thank you very much.
thank you.